The train stops abruptly. An announcement is made throughout the carriages about the arrival in Shanghai, and for passengers not to forget their belongings. The man in the front row was still sitting in his seat. The flight attendant assumed the man had fallen asleep. She came closer and personally informed the man of his arrival in Shanghai. The guy, noticing the flight attendant, apologizes for the wait. The guy slowly gets up and collects his things. As he passes by, he thanks the flight attendant with a smile. Going outside, the guy notes that he hasn't been to Shanghai for 3 years. Having reached the escalator and gone up, the guy was very surprised that so much had changed in such a short time. At that moment, an attractive girl was walking down the stairs past the guy. Naloon tried not to worry about everything, but his attention was drawn to the girl. Analyzing the girl's appearance, the guy noticed that she was very beautiful. He sincerely hoped that the girl was not a professional killer. At that moment, an unknown man was slowly approaching from behind the girl. The man quietly takes out a stationary knife and extends the blade. With a slight movement of his hand and completely unnoticed, the unknown person cut a hole in the girl's bag and took the phone. The indifferent Naloon notices this and immediately goes after the robber. Having caught up with the man, the guy holds him by the shoulder and demands that he give the girl's phone back immediately. Naloon looked at the man with a serious face, causing him to become slightly nervous. Gritting his teeth, the robber asks where this guy came from. He warns him not to meddle in his business because he will get into trouble. Naloon smirks and squeezes the man's shoulder, causing him to pull away in pain. The robber suddenly takes out a stationary knife and tries to hit the guy with a sharp blow. He warns him again not to interfere. Without further ado, Naloon approaches the man and grabs his hand with the stationary knife. The guy twists his arm, causing the man to lose control of the knife. The robber writhes in pain. Naloon asks again if the robber wants to continue their duel. The man grits his teeth and declares that he was lucky and will not forget it. The robber suddenly runs away. Nilong notes that the security in Shanghai is very bad. Holding the girl's purse, the guy quickly looks around the room in search of the girl. Seeing her heading for the exit, he calls her over. The girl turns around at the sound of the guy's voice. Naloon announces that her wallet has been found. The girl asks the guy to extend his hand with a serious face. Naloon doesn't understand what the girl is talking about. The guy immediately starts analyzing the offer of extending a hand. He assumes that the girl wants to write him her number. The girl again demands that the guy extend his hand. Naloon adds that he does not need gratitude because it is a trifle. The guy also frowned because he didn't understand why the girl was so insistently asking him to stretch out his hand. Seeing no other options, Naloon agrees and decides to extend his hand. Extending his hand, he asks the girl what she wants to do with him. The girl silently puts handcuffs on the guy. Not expecting this, Naloon was shocked by such an action. He immediately asks why the girl did this. Naloon was outraged by this action. The girl introduces herself as a police officer, adding that she was looking for pickpockets and came across one of them right now. Gritting his teeth, Naloon was already beginning to think about how he could restore his good name. Following the girl, Naloon tries to explain the situation because he was not a thief but just a good guy who returned the wallet. The girl listens to the guy with a smirk. She did not believe his words. The girl suspects that Naloon is trying to fool her. Not wanting to listen to any more excuses, the girl kicks the guy. Taking out her phone, the girl calls the police station and, introducing herself as Tong Yin, calls for reinforcements. The guy smirked at this arrangement because the girl didn't know that he was an undercover agent. The guy is put into a police car. Naloon could not imagine that he would be arrested as a petty criminal. The car quickly arrives at the local police station, where it takes Naloon away. After being brought into the interrogation room, the boy was seated on a chair. Nalong was not at all worried about the situation. The girl, seeing the relaxed guy, decides to find out why he is smirking. The guy points out that Officer Tan suits the uniform more than ordinary clothes. The guy looks at the girl from head to toe. He adds with a smile that he is embarrassed that the uniform is too small for the girl. Tan sheepishly states that her form is normal and not at all small, calling the guy a petty hooligan. Still smirking, Nilong asks Officer Tang not to be angry with him. The guy, not wanting to stop, adds that he simply wanted to emphasize the slender figure of the girl in uniform. The girl was dissatisfied with the compliments from the criminal. Tan asks Naloon to introduce himself. The guy introduces himself as Ye Zifeng. The girl decides to also clarify the guy's gender, to which she immediately receives the answer that it is obvious. Continuing to fill out the form, the girl also specifies the guy's occupation. With a smile, Naloon replies that he is the boss. Getting up from her chair, The girl asks again about his occupation, not believing that the guy could be a boss. Nelon, with a serious face, states that he is telling the truth and is the CEO of the Angel Foundation. The girl slams the table. She still doesn't believe a single word the guy says. Tan states that she knows the Angel Foundation and that it was founded only recently. After all, the company has managed to grow in just 3 years. The guy looked at the girl calmly, but she continued to insist that Nilun could not work in such a gigantic company. Tanya demands that the guy start telling the truth. The girl was interested in what kind of relationship he has with the group at the station, as well as his position. The guy calmly continues to insist that he is not a pickpocket and has absolutely no idea what we are talking about. Tan asks how the guy can prove that he is not part of the group at the station. The guy says he has doubts about the girl's sanity. Sitting at the table, the guy takes out his shorts. He wonders why he had to go back to the crime scene and return the money. Tan demands that Nalong stop messing with her. The girl thinks he's a weird guy, even if he's not a pickpocket. The angry girl takes the shorts from the guy's hands and throws them aside. The guy was confused by such actions. Tan was angry at Nilun. She felt like the guy was trying to make a laughingstock of her. The guy puts his hands behind his head. He decides to remind the officer that people are not imprisoned for suspicion, asking if the girl knows. The girl slams the table and demands that the guy calm down and give his address. Nilun explains that she lives with her cousin Tan, thinking she's found a clue, asks him with a smile for the address. The guy gives the address, Shanghai Longan Garden, which immediately seems strange to the girl. With a confused expression, she also asks about the name of cousin Nilong. The guy introduces him as Ouyang Zhen Yuan. After mentioning his cousin, the girl adds that she believes in the guy's innocence and that Nilun is not a pickpocket. The guy reminds with a smile that he already explained that he is not a scammer, but the girl did not believe it. Tan points to the guy and explains that although he is not a fraud, he lied to her by calling himself the CEO of the Angel Foundation. Tan adds that Ouyang doesn't have a cousin, claiming that the guy is trying to continue to mislead her. The guy explains that he was telling the truth and the girl can make inquiries about him. Putting her pen on the table, the girl states that she is already making inquiries about him. With a grin, she calls her uncle Zhen Yuan, introducing herself by name. She felt that she had figured out Nilun, and so, pointing her finger at the guy, she explains that the guy can't pretend any longer since Zhen Yuan is already on his way to the police station. The guy was partly surprised that Tang was acquainted with his uncle Zhen Yuan, but Niluna was fine with that, because after all this he wouldn't have to call a taxi. The girl was interested in how the guy would continue to get out of trouble after Zhen Yuan's arrival. 20 minutes later, the man was already at the station. The girl greeted her uncle. The man was also glad to meet her, but he did not understand why he was called so urgently. Pointing his finger at Neilun, he asks the man if the boy is his cousin. The man was shocked by such a meeting at the station. The guy calls his cousin. He was no less glad that the man came for him. The man calls the boy his cousin, coming closer. Zhen Yuan puts his hand on Ni Long's shoulder. He asks when the boy arrived and why he didn't warn him. Ni Lun explains that he was arrested by an officer as soon as he arrived at the train station. Taking the guy by the shoulder, the man adds that Tan caught the wrong one because Nilun is really his cousin. The girl was shocked by such a statement. Tan couldn't believe that her uncle had another cousin all this time. The girl was confused, blaming herself for her incompetence. With a smile, Neilun asks to remove the handcuffs from him, hinting that he is still the girl's uncle. Still shocked, Tang asks again if Nilun is an uncle. Nilun explains that since the girl calls his cousin uncle, then he automatically becomes her uncle. The girl throws the keys at the guy in anger, adding that he is an impudent scoundrel who is inciting her. Nilun manages to dodge. After leaving the station, the man leads Neilun to the car. The guy feels that he was not treated very kindly at the police station. The man invites Nilun to get into his car. Having packed his bag, the guy sits down with the man in the back seat. Zhen Yuan could not forgive himself for such hospitality. He blamed himself for coming to Shanghai like this. The guy says he doesn't care, suggesting they discuss more important things. After all, he was invited by Fat Lo to find a man in Shanghai. Ni Long asks if he knows why he needed to come to the city. Zhen Yuan was shocked that the guy called General Fatty Luo. He assumed that Ni Long was the only one who could do that. The man suggests discussing this later and visiting his house first. Driver Zhen Yuan slowly heads towards the man's house. Having passed the barrier at the entrance to Zhen Yuan's estate, the car stops at the entrance. The guy wonders where they've arrived. He's kind of amazed by the size of the house and the lot itself. The man suggests that the young gentleman not delay and follow him. Entering the luxurious house, the man calls his daughter Bo Ji. The guy continued to examine the expensive furniture in the house as a whole. The man asks again if his daughter is at home. On the second floor, a girl showed up. Nulong assumes that this is Jen Yuan's daughter. The girl slowly descends from the second floor. The guy is amazed by the girl's appearance. Bo asks with a smile if her father has a meeting planned. The man asks Ni Long with a smile how he likes his daughter Bo Ji. The guy rates the girl an 8 out of 10. The girl with a serious face asks who this guy is. Zhen Yuan introduces the guy as a doctor of science who came back from abroad. Bo offers his father to renew their friendship. Without listening to the girl, the man pushes her to Neilun. He asks her to underestimate his daughter because she is one of the 10 talented students in the piano class. The boy and the girl froze. They looked at each other silently. Zhen Yuan added that the couple would be getting married in 2 months. Everyone was shocked by this announcement. The girl angrily declares that she does not understand how her father came to this and is trying to marry her off to a stranger. The man, with a serious face, reminds that the couple has 2 months to get to know each other. Tired of arguing, the girl sits down on the couch. She declares that she will never marry a stranger. Nilun notes that the girl is much nicer when she is angry. The girl calls the guy a scoundrel, then throws the pillow. With a smirk, the guy adds that even though the girl acts like a tomboy, Bo still has feminine traits. The girl got even more angry and then decided to attack the guy. Nilong assumes that Zhen Yuan's daughter is not only studying piano, but also martial arts. The girl swings her leg, trying to hit the guy. Nilun manages to catch Bo's leg. The girl couldn't understand why she couldn't move her leg. The guy lowered his head, after which he throws the girl aside with all his might. Bo, not having time to react, falls on the sofa. At this time, the guy writes down a greeting to the girl. Unable to admit defeat, the girl again declares that she will beat the guy. The man, not wanting to continue watching the fight, manages to grab the girl's fist. He reminds her that it is not typical for a decent girl to fight. The upset girl asks why her father is on the side of an unknown guy. Zhen Yuan reminds her that Nulong is now her fiancé, and she can't talk to him like that. Without listening to her father to the end, the girl suddenly runs upstairs, saying that she no longer loves her father. The man runs after the girl. Nilong watches what is happening in silence. Catching up with the girl, the man explains that he had his own reasons for doing so. Pushing away his father's hand, Bo decides to complain to his grandfather. Zhen Yuan watches silently as the boy sits down at the table in the living room. The man explains that the boy has 25% of the shares of his entire company. He also reminds that the company is doing so-so. The girl covers her mouth and suggests that her father sold her. Zhen Yuan explains that this is a temporary measure and he will call off the engagement when the time comes. The girl decides to ask again if her father is telling the truth. Closing his eyes, the man declares that this is the pure truth and he swears it. Through tears, Bo adds that her father needs to hurry because she can't stand this for long. The girl closes the door in her father's face. Back in the living room, the man hands over a letter of recommendation from the university. Zhen Yuan adds that from tomorrow onwards, the boy will study together with Bo Jie to develop a mutual relationship. After putting out his cigarette, Nulong asks what the man meant by the marriage announcement. Zhen Yuan explains that it was old man Ye's idea. As he heads for the exit, the man explains that he needs to attend a couple of meetings. The guy is left alone in the living room. The whole house was at his disposal. At this moment, a large man in the office asks where Zifeng is at the moment. One of the subordinates reports that the guy is currently living with Mr. Yu Yun. The man asks what the boy knows. He doesn't understand what else the boy needs when he has so much money. The man reminds them that all they have to do is follow protocol and obey. One of the subordinates suggests that since the guy is in Shanghai, the situation in the city may become tense. The plump man believes that as long as the guy is in Shanghai, this will not happen. The subordinate recalls the Shanghai massacre of the Dragon Soul team and how after losing 9 people, no one else showed up there. The plump man stands up from the table. He adds that Zhen Yuan is a perfect target for identifying all opportunists. They just have to wait. The man wants to identify absolutely all of these people. The subordinate reminds him that there is only one guy. The plump man asks him again. He explains that the boy does not fight alone because he has the soul of the dragons behind him. One of the agents asks why his boss decided to marry the guy to the daughter of the Ouyang family. The man explains that it is a good cover and unhindered presence in the Ouyang family home. At that moment, the chief's phone rang. The man assumes that it is Naloon. The man greets him with a smile, like a baby Feng. The guy calls him Fatty Luo. He was unhappy with this arrangement and plans to go back right now and blow up the fat man's office. The man explains that this is an order from the old boss, which Naloon listens to. Feng clarifies that his mission is in Shanghai, namely to marry Zhen Yuan's daughter. The man confirms this. After listening to Fat Lo, the guy hangs up and lights a cigarette. Feng notices the open door to Boji's room. Deciding to take a peek inside, the guy sees the girl's underwear. He was surprised that Bo didn't close the door to the room. Going inside, the guy observes a girl in a towel behind the bathroom door. Unable to contain himself, Feng heads for the door, assuming that since he is the groom, he has the right to take a look with impunity. At this moment, a girl comes out of the shower. She was excited by Feng's presence. The guy kept staring at the girl in the towel. Bo screamed at the guy because of this. The girl throws a mirror at the guy, adding that no one allowed Feng to enter her room. With a smile, the guy explains that it was just a misunderstanding. Bo, still angry at Feng's actions, decides to kick the guy. The guy tries to stop the girl. The girl kicks the guy in the shoulder, but he manages to move his head away. Without any words, the guy pounces on the girl and grabs her by the legs. Feng picked the girl up, which made her even more indignant. Bo continued to call the guy a scoundrel. The guy puts the girl on the bed and quickly heads towards the exit. The girl continued to call him a shameless scoundrel. As he left the door, Feng said goodnight to Bo. Opening the door for a second, the guy notices that the girl is wearing Hello Kitty lingerie, winking. The girl throws a pillow towards the door, but the guy manages to close it. It's evening and Feng decides to take a shower before going to bed. After waiting for the guy to go into the bathroom, Bo enters the room and pours scabies powder onto the bed. The girl laughs evilly at what she did. She wanted to teach the guy a lesson. The girl imagined with a smile how the guy would lie down on the bed and she would take a photo of him having something for blackmail. An hour passed, but Feng still hadn't come out of the shower. The girl began to yawn. She didn't understand why the guy still hadn't crawled to his bed. Trying not to fall asleep, the girl grabs her cheeks. She wanted to take this photo. At this time, the guy was still lying carefree in the hot bath. The guy's body was covered with a huge number of scars and bullet wounds. The guy lay there and remembered the time that had passed on the battlefield, remembering those terrible moments and how his comrades died. One of his friends tries to stop the guy because he was under a hail of gunfire. The guy noted that quite a lot of time had passed since those events, but he still could not forget it. Feng notices some movement behind the door. The guy slowly comes out of the bathroom. Seeing that it's already dawn outside and he's been lying in the bathtub all this time, the guy puts on his clothes and decides to check who's behind the door. Opening the door wide, the girl falls straight into Feng's arms. Bo immediately wakes up. She was embarrassed that she was so close to the guy. The girl was both scared and asked to be let go immediately. With a grin, Feng calls the girl his wife. He was wondering why the girl had been spying on him all night. The girl blushed deeply and claimed that she had not been peeping, but had simply been sleepwalking at night. The guy says that sleepwalking is treatable and she should look into it. Pushing the guy away, Bo replies that he shouldn't think about it. The girl runs out of the guy's room in embarrassment. Bo was thinking about how to throw Feng out the door. The guy noted with a smile that the girl was very cute when she was angry. On the street, it was already quite clear why the guy decided to take a walk. Walking down the street, the guy tried to find a quiet place to train. Having reached a small lake, Fenya was satisfied with the place and decided to settle down. While warming up, the guy decides to remember martial arts. While practicing kicks, the guy pays attention to the movement behind his back. Turning around, the guy sees an elderly man watching him. Coming closer, the man notices that Feng has excellent fighting technique. The guy, rubbing the back of his head, explains that he was specifically looking for a secluded place where he wouldn't be noticed. The older man adds that he doesn't see anything shameful in training. The man decides to invite the guy to spar with him. The guy didn't know what to say to this proposal. The man adds with a smile that he shouldn't have even suggested such a stupid thing. Feng explains that it is not a matter of desire, but of his inexperience, so the guy does not want to disappoint the man. The man nevertheless decides to have a light sparring match. After taking a stance and exchanging a few techniques, Feng notices that the man is a martial artist. The man performs another technique and hits Feng's hand. Feng adds that the man is quite a skilled craftsman. The man also notices that the boy is quite strong. He becomes curious about who Feng is. The sun rose high enough to illuminate the entire clearing where the sparring took place. Feng decides to end the situation somehow, not wanting to show his true strength. So the guy misses one of the man's next blows. Feng points out that he is not good enough, which is why he missed the blow. Feng thanks him for the sparring session, calling the man a mentor. The man turns to Feng with a smile, noting that he noticed how the guy deliberately lost this sparring match. Unable to think of anything to say, Feng grins at the man. At this moment, Tan comes to the lake and asks the man to hurry because the whole family is already at the table and is waiting only for him. Feng remembers the girl, noting that the world is quite small. The girl also notices the guy. The man smirks silently to the side. After waving at Tan, the guy tries to say hello to the girl. Tan, screaming, tries to understand what Feng forgot in their area. Looking away, the guy jokingly asks if he is breaking any laws. This makes the girl even more angry, so she decides to leave. Taking her grandfather, she walks him back home. The man asks if his granddaughter knows the guy. Tan waves him off silently. Turning around, the man suggests that they have another sparring session the next day. Feng waves to the man with a smile. The girl continues to walk the man to the house. Tan finds it strange that the guy is in their area since Ouyang took Feng away from the station. The girl is frightened when she realizes that her uncle has placed the guy in Ouyang's villa. Gritting her teeth, the girl decides not to let the guy hurt Boji. The man decides to clarify who the guy is. The girl calls the guy a liar who made her angry at work. The man adds that Feng is, after all, a relative of friend Yuan. The girl explains that she herself does not fully understand everything because she was completely unable to dig up information about the guy's life, as if everything he did, someone had erased in advance. The man smirks and says that it is quite interesting. The girl asks what her grandfather meant by interesting. The man asks not to pay attention, adding that most likely some people will have problems. The man calls Feng a good ally who will help solve many of the Ouyang family's problems. It was already midday outside. Feng had finished his walk and was heading home. Arriving at the mansion, the guy slowly heads into the house. Having decided to make breakfast, the guy heads to the kitchen. Entering, Feng watches Boji sitting at the table. The guy greets the girl with a smile, calling her his wife. Bo looks at the guy with surprise. The girl asks the guy to make her breakfast himself. With a grin, the guy explains that dry bread and cold milk is not a nutritious breakfast. Looking into the fridge, the guy sees a large amount of food. Feng asks why the girl didn't make herself a normal breakfast. Bo replies that it's none of the guy's business. Not wanting to be near Feng, the girl heads into the room to watch TV. Bo silently sits down on the sofa and turns on the TV. The guy looks at the girl with a smile, then turns around and starts making breakfast. The girl continues to watch TV, not paying attention to what is happening in the kitchen. Having smelled the smell, the girl cannot resist and looks at the kitchen. She notices that it smells quite delicious. The guy finishes fussing around the kitchen and puts some delicious noodles on the table. Feng invites the girl to taste his dish with a smile. The girl can't help but slowly approach the bowl of noodles, and he swallows hard from the smell. Remembering who is in front of him, Bo stops dreaming and turns away from the guy. The girl folds her arms and thinks she won't fall for such tricks with a plate of laska. With a grin, the guy lifts the noodles, reminding her how delicious they are. The girl blushes and thinks that it's just noodles and she's not particularly interested in such things. Feng decides to end the argument by hinting that if the girl doesn't want to eat, then he himself will taste both portions. Bo understands that the guy is deliberately teasing her, noting that this is pure provocation. At this moment, the girl's stomach suddenly begins to rumble. Continuing to eat the noodles, the boy asks Bo not to torture himself and to still try the noodles because they will soon get cold. In her mind, the girl thinks that she will just go and eat the noodles to have the strength to continue fighting Feng. Taking the chopsticks and lifting the noodles, the girl again feels the aroma of the cooked noodles. The girl was very embarrassed by the delicious noodles. Bo couldn't believe that the guy could make such delicious noodles. After slapping herself on the cheeks, the girl tries to wake up because she thinks that it is just a hallucination. Feng decides to clarify whether the girl liked his noodles. Not wanting to praise the guy, the girl calls the noodles normal for a rural dish. Having finished all the noodles, the girl felt great. The guy grinned imperceptibly about it. Remembering who exactly cooked the noodles, the girl gets up from her chair and reminds him that she won't buy into just noodles. After all, such a trifle won't stop her from throwing him out of the house. The guy comes closer and tries to find out what exactly Bo doesn't like about him. The guy gets closer to the girl's face. He decides to clarify whether she liked the noodles or whether they were not tasty enough. The girl blushes too much and thinks the guy's noodles are too spicy. Bo abruptly grabs a glass of water from the table. The girl drinks a glass of water in one gulp, which Feng was not happy about. The guy notices that the girl is drinking from his glass. Bo suddenly spits out the water. Throwing a glass at the guy, Bo abruptly leaves the kitchen, slamming the door behind him. Taking hold of his chin, Feng assumes that this is an indirect kiss. The girl heads to the garage to get her car. Feng decides to ask Bo to wait for him. The girl is very annoyed by Feng's presence, so she does not respond to the guy's requests. The girl quickly gets into the car and buckles up. The guy manages to run to the car. Feng opens the door and reminds the girl that she shouldn't walk so quickly because she might get indigestion. Pointing her finger at Feng, the girl demands that the guy stop calling her wifey. With a smirk, the guy asks the girl to calm down and stop hiding like that. The girl asks Feng to leave the car because she is late for class. The guy explains that he also needs a class because they are now studying at the same college. The girl, not believing this, demands that the guy get out or she will call the police. Feng recalls that it was Bo's father who enrolled him in courses at the Shanghai Academy of Fine Arts. The girl could not believe her ears. The guy adds that they should hurry up because they might be late for class. Gritting her teeth, the girl calls the guy a freak. She was infuriated by Feng's mere presence. The girl suddenly steps on the gas and changes gears in anger. Feng was shocked by this. A girl rushes along the highway at high speed, heading towards the city. The guy holding onto the handrail reminds them that they are in the city limits and not on a racetrack. The girl is not interested in this and offers the guy to get out. With a grin, the guy reminds that he was a regular guest at illegal races. The girl stops abruptly and demands that Feng get out of the car. The guy looks around and asks again because they were heading to the university. The girl explains that the guy should walk 100 meters and turn left. The guy asks if his wife will go with him. The girl again demands that he get out. The guy gets out of the car with a grin, putting his hands in his pockets. The guy agrees. The girl asks Feng to stop. The guy notes that the girl is already lonely without him. The girl asks not to tell anyone about the situation they are in now. The guy grabs the back of his head and agrees with the girl. With a grin, the boy asks if he is entitled to a reward for his obedience. The girl, holding something behind her back, asks again about the reward. Approaching the guy, Bo hits the guy in the stomach with all her might. She asks if this was for the reward. The guy curls up from this, simulating pain. At this moment, he senses danger and reacts immediately. The guy grabs the girl and throws himself on the floor, covering Bo with his body. Several bullets hit the side window of the car. An attacker with a gun looks out from a passing blue Jeep. The unknown person has completely covered his face. The girl screams in fear, clinging to the guy. The guy decides to kiss the girl on the lips. The girl closes her eyes and kisses the guy back. The unknown persons, seeing no other way out, immediately try to hide. The girl pressed her whole body against the guy. Fen was happy with it anyway. The girl looked at the guy with confusion. Bo clarified with a shout whether the guy was looking for death. The guy explains that he did it to save Bo Ji. Showing a thumbs up, the guy suggests repeating it one more time. The girl pushes the guy aside out of anger. Having come to her senses, the girl gets back behind the wheel. She was still embarrassed by Feng's actions. With embarrassment, the girl notes that the guy is not really that useless. The guy grinned and silently continued walking towards the university. As he crossed the road, the whole event seemed strange to the guy. Feng understood that the unknown people's actual target was Ouyang Bo Jae. The guy gradually began to understand the purpose of his arrival in Shanghai. The boy was looking at his college application. Feng was curious about what other surprises Bo Jae would bring. While reading the document, the guy continues walking down the street. Feng looks around. He assumes that he should go to Rector Yang to apply for admission. Arriving at the Shanghai Academy of Art, the guy feels that the building looks more like a cathedral than an educational institution. With his hands in his pockets, the guy silently walks past the crowd and heads into the building. Approaching the rector's door, Feng assumes that his office is behind this door. Feng decides to knock on the door before entering. Strange sounds were heard outside the door. A female voice called the rector delightful, which greatly surprised Feng. The guy stood outside the door for a while but still decided to come in. Opening the doors, Feng greets the rector with the intention of asking one question. The girl in the rector's office notices the door opening. The girl and the rector were frightened by the guy's presence. The rector gets up from the sofa and demands that Feng explain himself, specifying which group he is from. While picking at his ear, the guy explains that he came for this very reason. The rector, slightly angry, asks the student to come out and knock again. With a grin, the guy turns around and heads towards the exit. Walking out the door, the guy closes it behind him. A few seconds later, the guy knocks again and the rector allows him to enter. The rector and an embarrassed girl stood at the table in a suit. The man immediately clarifies the purpose of Feng's visit. The girl fearfully heads for the exit. The guy puts in an application and explains that he came to enroll in their university. The man explains that it is no longer September and all the deadlines for submitting documents have long passed. Feng continued to look at the rector with a smile. The rector orders the guy to leave his office. The guy introduces himself as Ye Zifen and also reminds that these are recommendations from Ouyang. The man was frightened by this. He asks again, specifically from Ouyang Zhenyuan. The man runs up to the guy and explains that he is aware of the guy's arrival and that he shouldn't worry. The rector immediately began to fuss and decided to offer to conduct a tour of the university and also take him to the required auditorium. Putting his hands in his pockets, the guy heads towards the exit. Feng thanks Rector Yan for such hospitality. The man leads the boy down the hallway. Feng follows him calmly. The man is very worried about what happened. The guy looks away and explains that he doesn't remember anything like that. The man was delighted, adding that Feng would go far. The rector slowly leads the guy to the rehearsal room. The man knocks several times, wanting to enter the office. The guy and the rector go into the office. There was a girl sitting at the piano. She turned her head towards the rector and looked at him questioningly. The rector asks Feng Lan to come over for a minute to talk. The girl slowly approaches the man and asks what he wanted. The rector explains that the boy's name is Fen, and he is starting his studies in piano. The man introduces Feng Yu, a girl, as his first-year piano teacher. The rector says goodbye. Wanting to return to his work, he trusts Feng, Lan's teacher. Fen takes his hand out of his pocket and greets his new teacher. The girl silently turns around and asks not to delay anyone. Feng does not understand the girl and continues to stand. Sitting down at the piano, the girl asks Feng to take her place. The entire auditorium was filled with a large number of students. In the middle row was Bo Jie. The girl tried to cover herself with a textbook so that the guy wouldn't notice. Feng glanced around the room and saw where Bo Jie was sitting. After climbing up a few steps, the guy slowly sits down next to the girl. The girl was even more indignant at Feng's presence. The guy, putting his hands behind his head, lay down at the desk. The entire audience was surprised that the newcomer sat next to the goddess Ouyang. Everyone quietly talked about this. The girl smirks and decides to teach Feng a lesson. The teacher, sitting at the piano, asks the entire audience to calm down because they are continuing the learning process. The class ended and the bell rang. The entire group slowly began to stand up and gather. Bo gets up from her desk and asks everyone to wait because she was planning to make an announcement. The girl deliberately steps on Feng's foot with her heel, causing him to stand up as well. The girl hugs the guy and calls him her fiancé. The entire audience did not believe what they heard. Everyone suddenly began to discuss such a sensation. One of Bo's classmates demands that the others inform the others about Bo Ji's engagement. Feng decides to whisper to clarify whether Bo wanted to hide the relationship. Folding her arms, the girl announces that she has decided to change her mind. The guy hugs the girl and says that he is very happy. The girl with a smirk assumes that the guy will soon be given a dark one. Expecting a trick, the guy also understands that everything is not for nothing. Voices are heard in the courtyard near the university. One of the guys accuses the other of attacking the wrong guy. A guy with a black belt trains martial arts. One of the subordinates runs into the room and announces that he has bad news. There was a taekwondo club in one of the university buildings. One of the subordinates runs into the room and announces that he has bad news. The guy turns around and looks at his subordinate with a fist. Having cooled down after the sparring, the guy asks what happened and what they are talking about. A subordinate approaches his boss and starts whispering something in his ear. The guy looked at him angrily, asking if he was sure of his words. The subordinate was slightly frightened and explained that Bo Ji herself had announced this to the entire audience. The guy suggests to his club president to sort things out themselves. Take a few guys and teach the upstart a lesson, because Feng doesn't have the guts to fight them off. The club president was very outraged by what was happening. The guy still decides to add that he doesn't need help, because Bo Ji has been playing such games since childhood. The subordinate still asks them to think about their decision, because they are not inclined to let things slide and watch. The president believes that they should not do anything because of trifles. The president puts his hand on the guy's shoulder and offers to watch the free circus from the side. The guy agrees to stay aside and watch how Jin Jiuming deals with him. The president folds his arms and nods approvingly in response. One of the buildings of the Shanghai University of Arts baseball club. Several students inform Min about the engagement announcement, citing such a serious insult to the master. All members of the club say that they cannot stand aside and watch what is happening, adding that the basketball club will be laughed at. One of the guys holds out his hand. He explains that the young master only needs to nod in his direction, and they will deal with him right away. Min silently ponders the current situation. With a grin, the guy adds that they shouldn't be careful. The guy states that doing something without thinking is exactly in Feng Lan's spirit. Because Ming despises such a fee, one of the club members clarifies what their final plan is. A guy asks two guys to bring him the keys to his car. Min orders them to go and bring him a bouquet from there. The guy decides to confess his feelings so that Feng will have to leave there. All the club members were delighted with such a wonderful plan from Ming. The guy adds with a grin that he doesn't really believe what's happening. The guy couldn't believe that there were people who weren't afraid of power and money. Everyone returns to piano class for the next period. At this moment, Feng was lying on the table from fatigue. He was having a hard time with all of this. Feng notices some noise. One of the guys confesses his love to Bo Jie, offering to become his girlfriend. A noise came from the speaker opposite the board. It was Jin Juming, offering to take care of Bo for the rest of his life. All the girls were crazy about Jin's confession. Feng doesn't react to this statement. Bo silently looks at the guy. The girl believed that she could send Feng far, and for a long time, the lesson ended and all the students slowly began to leave the piano class. At the entrance, there was a huge crowd of people and two luxury cars, blue and red. Boja slowly walks out of the classroom and watches all this. The crowd stood near the carpet and watched Boji come out. Everyone was amazed by the girl's beauty. Feng walked next to the girl, but few people cared about it. Everyone admired the girl. The entire crowd shouted that Young had finally left the classroom and was heading towards Ming. In his mind, Feng was not very happy about this, because someone dared to steal his wife without permission. The couple slowly approached Ming's beautiful red car. Coming closer, the couple stops in front of the guy. Mine leaned calmly against his brand new sports car. The entire baseball team stood in uniform behind the guy. All the girls in the crowd were beside themselves with such beauty. Many have noticed Master Ming's beauty, especially how beautiful his car is, as well as his roses. One of the guys in the crowd thought it was all a show, considering both candidates to be talentless. The second guy points out that Ming did confess, and that's why the guy next to Young will suffer now. Ming looks at Young with a smile and then slowly walks towards her. Fan was disgusted to watch this because he believed that old-fashioned pickup lines would no longer work. Min comes closer and kneels down, bowing his head. The guy slowly takes out a small red box and holds it out to the girl. There was an expensive ring inside the box. All observers were amazed by this development of events. Min gives his speech and proposes to marry him because they were born for each other. The girl was not happy with this turn of events because she only wanted the students to deal with Feng. The girl didn't know what to answer to Mina's words. Feng stood silently nearby and watched what was happening. In his thoughts, Ming noted that Feng was not able to compare with him because he was the one with the luxury car and the diamond ring. Without further ado, the boy extends his hand to Boja, after which he slowly grabs the girl by the waist and presses her to himself. The guy explains with a smile that his wife is already engaged and therefore Min should behave more appropriately. Ming clenched his teeth in anger. He was outraged by Feng's presence. The guy starts shouting questions about who Feng really is to her. With a smile, the girl explains that Feng is her fiancé. The guy couldn't believe what he heard. He noticed that Feng looked bad, and in general, the guy didn't dare call himself a groom. With a smirk, Feng asks again what exactly is wrong with him, calling Ming a gigolo. One of Ming's group shouted indignantly at Feng for calling him a gigolo, demanding that the guy take his hands off the beautiful Bo Jie. The other baseball club members were also angry and slowly walked towards Feng. The baseball club completely surrounds Feng and Bo Jie. The girl noted to herself that Feng would have problems at this moment. She looked with a grin at the baseball team that was getting closer and closer. The girl was interested in how the guy would deal with all this. Feng smiled silently at everyone and then took the girl's hand. Feng slowly approached the girl's face, after which he kissed her right on the lips. Boji was amazed by such an act. All the guys in the crowd were surprised by the newcomer Feng's behavior. Feng continues to kiss the girl for a long time. Boja looked at the guy with embarrassment. She blushed at such an action. After finishing, Feng continued to hug the girl. Feng adds that Ming was too lenient, because today Feng not only hugged his wife but also kissed her in front of everyone. Feng gently holds Boji's waist, showing his closeness to her. Feng assures that from now on Ouyang Bo is his fiancée, and now it is better for Ming not to approach her. The girl blushes and looks at Mina's reaction. Min notes with a grin that the guy is quite brave. He hasn't seen anyone like him at the university for a long time. One of Ming's subordinates swings a bat at Feng, saying that he wants to test how strong he is physically. Min, with a serious face, demands that his club members step aside. All the club members were perplexed as to why their leader was demanding that they leave. Ming again demands that they move away from Feng. The guy folds his arms and explains that he is quite sensible, but not everyone is capable of becoming a shield like him. He added with a grin that Feng could very quickly get caught in the crossfire. Feng clarifies what exactly the guy is trying to say by this. Min slowly opens one of the checks and writes a large sum on it. The guy slowly hands the check to Feng. The guy demands that Feng leave China for 2 million and never show his face again. Feng slowly takes the check and looks at it. With a grin, Feng states that 2 million is quite a large sum. Boja notes that she didn't expect the guy to be so disgusting. Mina was surprised that the guy talked so much and was ready to leave because of money. Feng slowly takes out a pack of cigarettes and a lighter from his pocket. Feng slowly sets fire to the check, showing his disrespect to Ming. Feng takes out one cigarette and lights it with the check. Everyone present was shocked by Feng's actions, including Bo Jie. Feng throws the rest of the check on the floor, where it slowly turns to ash. The guy watches Mina's reaction, waiting for the next step. A guy in the crowd was amazed that Feng would so easily light a cigarette with a check for 2 million. Many did not understand who exactly Feng was, but they noticed that he was quite pompous and cool. Ming still couldn't believe what Feng had done. It had destroyed him mentally. Min angrily asks Feng what exactly he was trying to say with his actions. Feng blows cigarette smoke straight into the guy's face. With a grin, Feng adds that he just wanted to remind Master Ming that 2 million is a lot, but not everything in the world can be bought. Feng looks into Ming's eyes with a serious look. Boja smiled. She didn't expect Feng to be so courageous. Min asks if Feng is willing to refuse the kind gesture. Feng, with his hands behind his head, cared little for it. Min states that he will remember Feng's name and hopes that all this confidence will remain until he arrives. Min and his club slowly leave the yard. Gritting his teeth, Min decides not to say anything more. Feng watches the boy go. Feng asks the baseball club to slow down, noting that a $2 million cigarette is no different from a regular cigarette. Feng watches the baseball club leave. Feng looks at Bo Jie, the guy calls the girl. The guy asks the girl if she liked his performance. Feng adds that he thinks it's too good to be true. The girl, not wanting to admit defeat, adds that she did not see this and considers it quite terrible. Feng comes closer and grabs the girl by the waist. Bo is amazed that the guy just approaches her. The guy asks to reward him with a kiss for such a performance. Feng thinks that this will be a good motivation for the future. The girl, unable to bear it, demands that the guy finally leave her alone. The guy didn't expect such a sharp response to his proposal. Unable to resist, the guy asks for another kiss from Bo Ji. The guy offers to kiss the girl again. Bo, not knowing what to answer, remains silent. She was too embarrassed. The guy kisses the girl on the lips for the second time. The girl silently lowered her eyes. She was furious and confused by such actions. Feng rubs the back of his head and adds that he still has things to do, and so he should run. As the guy runs away, he thinks that he will come late in the evening, so she shouldn't wait for him. A guy tries to stop a passing taxi with his hand. The car stops next to the guy. Feng asks him to take him to the Falling Snow nightclub. Feng looks out the window with a rather evil smile. Having reached the club, the guy gets out of the taxi and heads into the building. The atmosphere in the club was fun. The whole crowd was on the dance floor and relaxing. Entering the room, Feng sits down on a free sofa and looks at the visitors. Taking one of the cocktails, Feng continued to track down the person he needed. The guy noted with a smile that nothing had changed in his absence. A woman's hand took a glass of wine from the table. The guy kept noticing that absolutely nothing had changed in the club in 3 years. Fan wondered if the girl had changed over the years. A female voice sounded behind the guy. The girl decided to turn to Feng. The girl asked whether the guy drank alone or whether he already had company. Feng explains that he came to this establishment to enjoy this beauty alone. The guy thanks him for the offered company. The girl folds her arms and calls the guy boring, then walks away. Fan wasn't the least bit embarrassed by this and didn't even look after the girl. Near the stage, girl started screaming loudly, waiting for someone. The light slowly moves onto the stage, just as Fen himself was waiting. The guy smiles and rejoices that it's time for Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. The guy gets up from the table. With a smile, the guy notes that after 3 years, the girl still loves this song. The girl came on stage and started playing the piano. The whole crowd paid attention to the girl and applauded her performance. Feng was amazed that this particular girl was still playing in the club. The girl continued to play the piano. The crowd slowly gathered around the stage to hear her play. Having immersed herself in the song, the girl played as never before, which is what attracted the audience. The music was good, it went through the whole hall, everyone applauded the girl. The guy notes that this is his teacher, who works at the club at night. With a smile, Feng calls his teacher a completely different person. Having finished, the girl gets up from the piano and goes out in front of the audience. Bowing before the audience, everyone began to applaud and support the girl with compliments. A small group of people approached the girl and noticed her cute music. The girl was a little wary of the presence of strange admirers. The big man decides to start a conversation. He explains that he didn't even finish elementary school. Holding 2 glasses of champagne, the man adds that he still admires Miss Lan. The man continues to praise the girl, calling her an artist with temperament and elegance. The man adds that he admires Miss Lan and is ready to drink to her. With a grin, the man offers the girl to have a drink with him. The people in the hall understood that something not very good was about to happen. Miss Lan decides to remain silent, so she silently looks at the man. Lost in thought, the girl waves it off and refuses to drink because she doesn't drink at all. Another man approaches the girl from behind. He explains that they are drinking to her face and she should not refuse such an offer. The guy slowly puts his hand on the girl's shoulder. Unwilling to tolerate this, Miss Lan immediately throws the man's hand away. The girl explains that she will call security if the man continues. The man swings an angry hand at Miss Lan. The large man catches his subordinate's hand and asks him to calm down. The man asks if this is how he treats the artist. He was not happy with his subordinate's rudeness. The man apologizes for the incident, noting that his subordinates are a little out of control. The man adds that he is, after all, a famous person, and it would be disrespectful to ignore his offer of a drink. The man hands over the glass of champagne again. Mill Lan assumes that it is just alcohol and nothing more. With trembling hands, the girl tries to take the glass. The man looks at the girl and bares his teeth. He is amused by this whole situation. The girl wanted someone to help her because she understood that she shouldn't drink this alcohol. Feng abruptly takes the glass from the man's hands. The guy looks at it and, not very pleased, throws it on the floor. Feng claims that the alcohol is too bad to offer to a girl. The glass was broken and all the contents spilled on the floor. Miss Lan was shocked by this action. The man was very worried about this because some guy had crossed his path. Taking the bottle in his hand, Feng invites them to sit down and have a drink with him. Feng places his hand on the man's shoulder, trying to call him over. The man turns his head towards Feng in irritation. The guy looked at the man with a sly smile. In his right hand, he held that very bottle. Feng looks at the man with a smile, waiting for his next move. The man turns around and asks who Feng is. The man claims that no one dared to stand next to him, naming Feng as the first one to do so. The man swings at the guy, saying that he will teach him to behave more modestly. The guy starts squeezing the big man's shoulder, not wanting to repeat it again. Feng squeezed harder and harder, which was quite painful for him. The man even trembled slightly from the pain. Feng adds that he should roll out of the club. With these words, the guy lifts the bully over his head, which he did not expect at all, after which he threw him to the side with all his might. Having flown across the entire hall, the man lands near the bar counter. Glasses of alcohol and other things began to fall on the man, but few people cared. Miss Lan was shocked by this outcome. All the male subordinates were no less amazed by this outcome, because everyone saw it for the first time. People in black suits suddenly started entering the building, asking to be let through. The man standing in front wonders who was making a noise in their nightclub. Feng notes that it is precisely when the problem is solved that the very same security comes. The guard asks if Fen Li started all this mess. The guy picking his ears assumes that he did. The man asks if they have any problems with hospitality in their establishment. Feng replies quite seriously that he is actually happy with everything. The man, not knowing what to say, smiles in response. With a grin, the man declares that since the guy is happy with the service, he is deliberately creating problems in the club. The man gestures and calls his subordinate over. He demands that he explain the rules of the club to the guy. Feng silently looks at the huge guard, allowing him to make the first move. The man folds his arms and explains that those who did not know the rules of their club or who deliberately create problems must be punished. One of the workers holds out a small tray. A guard holds a tray as he awaits Feng's sentencing. The huge guard finishes his speech by saying that the offender must pay with his hand. On the tray lies a butcher knife. All the guards look sternly at the guy, awaiting the verdict. The head guard offers the guy to do it himself, but also provides assistance from other guards. Miss Lan tries to stop the leader. The girl slowly approaches the crowd to explain everything. The girl explains that Feng was trying to help her and there was a small misunderstanding. The man explains that the rules are uniform and they cannot be broken anyway. Based on the rules of the establishment, the man adds that otherwise he will not be able to explain the whole situation to Miss C. The girl asks to wait for the head of security because Lan is able to call Miss Shi herself and ask her permission. Not wanting to continue listening, the man presses to end the call. The man adds that the rules set by Miss C are strict for everyone and cannot be changed even by Miss C herself. A man calls two subordinates with a knife to him. The man notes that Feng does not want to do it on his own, so they will assist and help him. Feng comes closer and examines the man's face. It seems to him that he is new to the establishment, but the guy thinks his face is familiar. The man confirms that he is the new boss. But this does not affect the outcome and the guy will still end up in the hospital. Picking his teeth, the guy adds that he really doesn't care about it. The man begins to get annoyed by his indifference to the current situation. The head of security announces that today he will show what will happen to those who create problems for the club and break the rules. The biggest guard rolls up his sleeves. The head of the guard orders the others not to let the guy get away. The man notes that the Falling Snow Club is not a place where you can do whatever you want. The guy listens to the man without any emotion. Fan was not very interested in what was happening. The girl, unable to stand aside, runs up to the guy. Covering Feng with her body, the girl demands that he leave immediately. The boy was worried about what would happen to Teacher Mo if he really left. The girl adds that she is familiar with Miss C and will not be touched under any circumstances. The head of security holds a sharp knife in his hands. The man explains that the girl should move away from the intruder because this is disrespectful and can affect whether Miss Lan will come out safe and sound. The head of security looks at the girl with a fierce gaze. Although Miss Lan was scared, she did not dare to step away and abandon her student. Having covered Feng with her body, she continued to cover him with her body. The guy thanks her for her concern with a smile and asks the girl to move away. Feng approaches the head of security with a proposal to address him directly, and not the defenseless girl. The man was amused by this and laughed. The man orders the others to begin passing judgment and not to stand aside. One of the guards asks the guy to choose one of the hands, as this is how they are usually asked. Feng suggests trying to cut off one of them first, since he won't be able to do it. A large security guard attacks a guy with a knife. Unable to watch what was happening, Miss Lan covered her face. The man was amazed that Feng was able to stop his precise strike. Feng held the knife with his bare hands. The man was scared, calling the guy a monster. Not wanting to stand aside, the second guard pounces from behind. The man manages to grab the guy's right hand. Without any effort, Feng throws the guard aside, causing him to fall unconscious. Returning to the first guard, the guy continued to look him straight in the eyes. Feng breaks the knife in half with a flick of his wrist. The man couldn't believe what was happening. It was all extremely strange. Without giving the guard time to recover, Feng kicks the large guard in the stomach. The guy says he finds it hard to believe that such people would be able to cut off his hand. The head of security notes that Feng is from a family of practitioners, and now it is clear to him why the guy is so self-confident. Feng suggests that the leader do everything himself and just shoot him with a pistol. The man slowly takes the gun from behind his back. The man was satisfied with this solution. Holding out his hand with a gun, the man smirks and declares that the easiest way for him to do this would be to just shoot the guy. The man says goodbye to Feng before firing. The rest of the guards were already burying Feng because their leader had a pistol in his hands. The guy smirks at the head of security's actions. Feng tosses the clip of his pistol, adding that he is saying goodbye, noting that the man had suggested that he say this quite early on. The man couldn't believe what was happening because he didn't let Feng get close. Without giving the man time to come to his senses, Feng quickly pounced on the head of security. Feng hits the man in the stomach with all his might, sending him flying backwards. The man is nailed to the pole by such force that it even bends slightly. Following it, a golden object flies past at great speed. The man couldn't believe what he saw because he knew exactly what it was. There was a blade with a maple leaf blade sticking out of the wall. After this, the head of security was very scared and did not know what to do. Fing smirked at the man, flexing his fists in front of him. The rest of the guards were very angry with the guy's actions. They were ready to kill for their captain. The biggest guard calls the others to attack the guy as a crowd and avenge the head of security. All the guards attack Feng alone with their fists and knives. The head of security, with a wound on his face, demands that everyone stop immediately and not touch Feng. The man adds that he did not allow anyone to act and attack the guy without his order. All the security stopped and could not understand what the head of security meant. The man swallows the lump with difficulty. He was tense. With great effort, the head of security approaches Feng. Coming close enough, the man quietly asks if Fen is the night judge. The guy waves it off, explaining that since the head of security understood it himself, he shouldn't have said it out loud. The man immediately bows to the guy and apologizes repeatedly. Feng, with a serious face, decides to address the head of security one last time. The guy notes that the man was able to recognize the maple blade, adding that this means that the head of security has been working in this area for quite a while. The man, still bowing before Feng, explains that recently the club has been working on falling snow. The head of security adds that he was transferred here only 2 years ago to help Miss Shi run the nightclub. Fen notes that he is not surprised that the leader has only been here for 2 years, since he has not seen him here before. Feng turns away, heading towards Miss Lan. The guy adds at the end that the maple knife should be given to Simon Snow with a message that he has returned and is ready to drink with him when there is time. Approaching Miss Lan, the guy offers to leave the nightclub and take the girl home. Miss Lan agrees to the guy's proposal. Feng extends his hand to the girl. Feng takes the girl by the hand and leads her to the exit. The security was unhappy with the head of security's decision. They all bared their teeth at it. One of the guards swung a knife at the guy, showing his respect for Feng. The guy calmly continued to head towards the exit. The security guards stepped aside and let the girl and Feng through. The head of security takes a maple tree out of the wall. Sitting down at the table, he begins to examine it. The man was amazed by the quality of the knife. He sticks it into the table. The man swings the knife to test how practical it is. Looking at his reflection of the knife, the man notices that the knife is so sharp that it is ready to pierce even a marble column. A huge security guard approaches the chief and tries to find out who the guy really was. The man didn't understand why they had to let him go, because they wouldn't be able to explain it to Miss C. The chief wonders if the security would be able to handle him. The guard didn't know what to say to that. The chief added that they shouldn't worry because he would report the incident to Miss Shi himself. The guards come up and ask what the secret of this broken knife is. The chief explains that the knife itself is of no value, but its owner dealt with everyone who stood in his way. The men were perplexed as to who their leader was talking about. The head asks if they still want to know his real name. The chief thinks that the men won't be able to believe what they've heard, but he still decides to tell. The chief adds that the owner of this maple knife had the most recognizable nickname in all of China. After all, his name is the Night Judge. The image of Feng in a suit with a maple blade appeared before the men's eyes. One of the guards falls down in fright and asks again if that guy was the judge. The second guard couldn't believe what he heard. The leader demands that everyone calm down and stop talking so loudly about it. Feng slowly walks out of the establishment. The boss adds that this is a name that cannot be spoken out loud. Once they reach the car, they get into a small red car. The guy adds with a laugh that he was supposed to take the girl home. Feng apologizes that Miss Lan had to take him home instead. Miss Lan explains that she didn't have time to thank the guy, so this will be a reward for him. The girl asks if it is true that the guy has just arrived at the university in Zhonghai. The guy asks with a smile, "Doesn't he look like an ordinary student?" The girl adds that she had been to the nightclub Falling Snow before and noticed that the guy was not behaving like a student at all. The girl remembers the moment where Feng stands with his back to the angry crowd of guards, not reacting to the danger. Feng clarifies what is wrong in the girl's opinion. The guy asks the girl again with a smile. Without waiting for an answer, Miss Lan asks not to pay attention. She decides to clarify where exactly the guy lives. Looking out the window, the guy calls the Orchid Garden. The girl notes that she herself lives in the area near the Orchid Gardens. Miss Lan asks why she hasn't seen him in the area before. The guy couldn't understand in his mind why he so often stumbled upon all the coincidences in this world. Feng couldn't believe that his mentor also lived in the same area. The guy explains that he arrived just recently and that's why the girl didn't see him. Miss Lan waved it off with a smile. She continued driving and kept her eyes on the road. Miss Lan's car was followed by a black car for a long time. The girl adds that she has one more question for the guy. The girl notices that the guy has an accent, suggesting that Feng is not actually a local. The guy doesn't quite understand what the girl is talking about. Miss Lan wonders how he knows Miss Shi personally then. The guy tries to remember when he managed to meet Miss C. The guy adds that he has actually known Miss C for a long time, calling himself an old friend of the girl. Feng asks if the girl believes his words. Miss Lan explains that she saw Miss Shi and she is quite cold towards other people. Feng sighs, noting that at a time like this, few people can believe the truth. Feng notices that a strange black car is following them. The car was clearly visible in the side mirror. It had been driving all the way from the club. Feng continues to silently watch the pursuing car. The girl clarifies why the guy became silent, assuming that it is precisely because everything is a lie. The girl also notices a strange car behind them. In the side mirror, a black car was approaching at high speed, no longer just pursuing. The girl thought the car behind them looked strange. A black car suddenly crashes into the back of Miss Lan's car. The girl was very scared, grabbing the steering wheel. She tries to find out from Feng who these people are. Feng puts his hand on the girl's shoulder and asks her to stop panicking. Feng asks the girl to press full gas and drive as fast as possible. Miss Lan's car drives at high speed through the empty city. The black car catches up with them again and crashes into their rear. The girl was very scared. Miss Lan doesn't know what to do. The girl notes that she hit her leg hard after the last collision. Feng offers to swap with the girl so that he can drive the car. Feng notices a graze on the woman's right leg. The guy explains that the girl has injured her leg and needs to rest. Still behind the wheel, the girl doesn't understand what the guy is talking about. Feng sits in the driver's seat instead of the girl and continues driving without stopping. With a smirk, Feng asks the girl to hold on tighter. The guy hits full throttle and manages to get a little ahead. A man sitting in a black car demands that the driver catch up with them. The man demands that he run them over and leave them no chance. With a grin, the guy behind the wheel adds that he will do it without any problems. The speed of the black car had already begun to exceed 100 kilometers per hour. Once on the highway, the black car continued to chase Feng among other cars. The black car almost managed to catch up again, but Feng managed to turn to the side. The man couldn't sit still in the back seat. He was angry that the girl was leaving him. The girl, sitting on Feng's lap, asks to move because she thinks that this position is rather strange. Feng explains that they do not have time for this. Feng turns sharply to the right onto the stairs to escape his pursuers. Feng explains it in such a way that they have no other choice. The girl was scared. She asked the guy to be careful. Feng was confident. Miss Lan's car began to speed down the stairs. The girl was too scared and screamed. Feng held her and drove the car at the same time. Feng manages to brake just before descending the stairs. The girl closed her eyes in fear. She did not want to see all this horror. The same black car flies over Miss Lan's car. Losing control, the car flips over and starts smoking. A man climbs out of the window and shouts at the couple, adding that next time he will catch them and punish them. With a grin, the guy asks again if there will be a next time. The man doesn't understand what the guy is trying to do. Feng slowly drives up to the overturned car and begins to push it into the sea. The car goes underwater, but the man and his subordinate manage to get out. Having finished with this, the couple continues to drive towards the house in Miss Lan's car. Feng notes that they are almost there and are close to their area. The guy takes the girl in his arm and carries her to his house. The girl explains that she can walk on her own because the wound is not serious. Feng adds that although the girl's leg hurt from the injury, she still put on a brave face. The guy takes the girl to the bed and puts her to rest. Feng notes that the girl's house is quite large and it seems strange to him that the girl lives here alone. Miss Lan blushed deeply. She didn't understand what the guy was trying to say. The guy finds some underwear next to the sofa and asks what it is. The girl shyly rushes towards the guy. She didn't want him to see it. The girl knocks the guy over and he ends up on the couch. The guy accidentally touches the girl. Miss Lan was very embarrassed by such a gesture. The guy doesn't immediately remove his hands from the girl's body. The guy notes that he is very pleased with this. Feng's nose started bleeding from embarrassment. The girl does not immediately understand what is happening, silently looking at the guy. At that very moment, Miss Lan screamed, calling the guy a pervert. She demanded that the guy take his hands off her. While trying to get off the guy, the girl accidentally hits the guy below the waist. This move will hurt the guy badly and he will suffer greatly. The guy screamed loudly from severe pain throughout the house. Feng couldn't sit still and started running around the room. The girl asks if the guy is okay. She didn't fully understand what happened to Feng. Continuing to rush around the room, the guy hits the wall and falls to the ground. The guy lies on the ground, explaining that he is fine. Feng loses consciousness. The girl was very worried that the guy remained unconscious for so long after he fainted. The girl was very tired and began to yawn, unable to continue waiting for the guy. Feng jumps up sharply after waking up. He quickly looks around the room. The guy notices that Miss Lan has fallen asleep on his stomach. In her sleep, the girl called the guy a pervert. Her face was still red. The guy assumes that Miss Lan was very upset with him for his actions. The guy picks up the girl and carries her to the girl's bedroom. Having laid the girl on the bed, the guy, without waiting, heads for the exit. Walking out the door, the guy slowly heads towards the exit. Miss Lan stands up and mentally says goodbye to Feng, calling him a bad guy. The boy under the night sky reaches the Ouyang family mansion. Feng enters the house with a smile, wanting to take a shower and rest. The first thing the guy notices in the room is Bo Ji sitting there. The girl was very unhappy. Rubbing the back of his head, the guy asks why the girl is up so late. The girl was unhappy with the guy's behavior because he doesn't keep track of time at all. Bo was worried about where the guy went after university. The guy comes closer, jokingly asking if the girl is worried about him. Folding her hands, the girl adds that the devil will take care of Feng. Boja picks up a document from the table and throws it in the guy's face. She demands that the guy follow 21 rules while living with the girl. The guy looks at the first page, where it is written that the rich and beautiful Ouyang lives with a bag of garbage. The guy grins and notes that life is a damn disappointment. The guy decides to read all 21 rules, which doesn't make him very happy. Feng decides to launch a protest, because it is unfair since every rule is against the guy himself. The girl rejects the protest. Bo explains that he is responsible for his territory, and the whole problem lies with the guy himself. The girl makes fun of the guy's situation. The guy explains that in this case he will call his father-in-law and tell him everything that the girl does to him. Boja demands that the guy not dare call her father. The girl rushes towards the guy, but Feng decides to embrace her. The girl did not expect such a turn of events. The guy flips the girl over and throws her on the couch. Feng adds that his wife is too active and he is still not used to it. Bo demands that the guy let her go. The guy smirks and offers to let the girl go if he doesn't have to sign this contract. The girl, with a red face, declares that this will not happen. Boju wraps her legs around the guy to make him fall on top of her. The girl bites the guy on the cheek, causing him to scream that it hurts. There is a mark from the girl's bite on the guy's cheek. At this moment, the girl's father enters the room. The man was shocked by what he saw and suspected that the couple was up to something. The man notes that it has only been a few days, but progress is happening too quickly. The couple did not know how to explain it. Having cleared his throat, the man turns around and heads towards the exit. The man says goodbye to the couple and apologizes for disturbing them. Bo Ji asks to wait for his father, because he misunderstood everything. With a grin, the guy adds that they are still not officially married and there is nothing wrong with that. The girl throws down the sheets of paper with the contract again and demands that the guy sign them. The girl stands on top of the guy's face and again demands that he sign everything if he wants to live in the same house with her. The guy decides to call his father-in-law again and explain that his daughter is offering to sign the rules of residence. The girl comes closer and covers the guy's mouth, demanding that he shut up. The girl sits down on the sofa and specifies that she wants the guy in exchange for signing the contract. The guy grins evilly, looking at the girl before answering. Feng begins to reach out to the girl, demanding that she kiss him and then he will sign everything. The girl explains that he shouldn't even dream of kissing her. Feng tries to call his father-in-law again. Boja decides to agree and comes closer, her face slightly red from embarrassment. The guy also reaches out to the girl in anticipation of a kiss. The girl was very angry at this demand. The girl tried to convince herself that she had already taken advantage and that she shouldn't give up so easily. The girl slowly approaches Feng's face, trying to kiss him. Boja and Fen kiss, which is what the guy demanded. The romantic kiss suddenly turns into pain, which Feng did not expect. The guy tries to break away from the girl. Feng was in hellish pain. The girl looked into the guy's eyes. She was not going to let go of the impudent Feng. Feng asks to let him go. Admitting her guilt, Bo was ready to let the guy go only if he signs the contract. A minute later, the girl had a signed contract in her hands. The guy was lying soullessly on the couch. Bo was happily leaving the room at that time. The man, assuming that enough time has passed, decides to enter the room. Fen was lying on the sofa with swollen lips. The man was frightened by such a sight. The man asks why the guy's face is so swollen. The guy explains that he was bitten by a puppy. The man understands what is being discussed and that it was apparently his daughter who bit Fen. The man laughs, remembering that Feng always had such a character and attitude towards everything. A man invites his daughter and Feng for an important conversation. Ouyang shows the plan of the new house. The man explains that the house is in a prime location opposite Langtang Bay, adding that they can decorate the house in Chinese or European styles. Feng shakes his father-in-law's hand, adding that he will take care of his daughter, Bo. She was unhappy with this arrangement. She did not want to move with the guy. The man goes outside and says goodbye to the couple. Feng found it strange that his father-in-law had only come to discuss the decoration of the house and was already leaving. The man slowly opens his vehicle and tries to get into the car. An unknown person in a mask emerges from the bushes and attacks the man. The man tries to find out who exactly is attacking him. But at that moment, an unknown person puts a gun to the man's head. The stranger greets him as Chairman Ouyang, noting that they haven't seen each other for a long time. An unknown person takes a man hostage and puts a gun to his head. The girl was scared. Tears were welling up in Bo's eyes. The girl decides to help her father by quickly heading towards the attacker. An unknown person in a mask points a gun at the girl and demands that she step back. Otherwise, he was ready to kill Bo Zhe. Ouyang demands that his daughter not come close and not make hasty decisions. The girl silently returned to Feng. She did not know what she should do. The girl takes Feng by the hand. She was very scared. Boji, with tears in her eyes, asks the guy to help her and do something. The stranger adds that they do not plan to kill anyone. He was interested in money. The man adds that Boji should call the bank and withdraw 50 million for the ransom. The man presses the barrel firmly against the back of Ouyang's head, causing him to add that it hurts. With an angry face, Ouyang asks the attacker not to hurt him. The stranger begins to apologize, calling Ouyang the chairman. Fen smirked at the sight, as it was the first time he had seen a robber be so polite. The girl panicked and tried to find the right number to call. Fen puts his hand on the girl's shoulder, asking her not to worry because he will solve everything. With a serious face, Fen walked towards the robber. He was outraged that his father-in-law dared to use these fake robbers to trick him. The guy laughed when he saw what the robbers were wearing. The guy noticed that one of the attackers had new car keys. The second one was wearing newly purchased stockings. Even the tag was hanging. Fen also noted that the weapon used by the unknown people was just a fake. The guy was very angry about this whole show. He asked why his father-in-law was trying to fool him. The strangers, without breaking character, clarify what Fen is trying to do. They also remind him that they do have weapons and can kill Ouyang. Boja asks the boy to be more careful. Ouyang also joins in and explains that the unknown people still have weapons and it is not safe. Without further ado, Fen goes on the attack, quickly approaching the unknown. The guy quickly deals with two robbers, causing them to fall unconscious. Ouyang doesn't have time to finish his remark that they can shoot, but Fen has already managed to scatter everyone. Ouyang looks around in confusion. Fen turns to the chairman. He waits for an explanation. Ouyang slowly turns his head to the guy. Feng adds that this is the second time and it is starting to bother him. Ouyang was very confused. Sweat poured down his forehead. Feng adds that he hopes. After Feng's words, Ouyang looked at the guy with fear. Feng adds that he hopes there won't be a third time. His face was angry because of recent events. Ouyang falls to his knees silently. Fen turns around and heads into the house. Boja saw that her father was okay and rushed into his arms. The girl with tear-stained eyes was very frightened and complained to her father about what had happened. The man noted that this time everything worked out thanks to Feng. In his thoughts, the man noted that Fen was quite dangerous and should not be played with like that. The man hangs up after finishing his conversation with the police. The whole family sits at the common table. The man yawned from fatigue. Feng was not in the mood to talk. The man asks his daughter to go upstairs and rest while he discusses the recent events with Feng alone. The girl, without adding anything, gets up from the table and heads to her room. After waiting for the girl to come upstairs, the man decides to apologize to the guy for what happened today. The guy stops Ouyang. He explains that he is not interested in this, but he does not like being taken for a fool. The man, not wanting to lie, explains that although he arranged this whole circus today, these two robbers are not his employees. Feng, not understanding what the man is talking about, clarifies what he means. Holding his chin, Ouyang adds that these two people are from another group chairman, Angel Foundation. The man tricked them and staged the kidnapping as a show. With a grin, Feng declares that he must have found the real reason why Fatty Luo sent him to China. The man gets up from the table, adding that it is not so petty, because the situation in China is much more serious than he thinks. The doorbell rang, which distracted Wu Yang and Fen. The man decides to check who has arrived. Fen notices that the situation is becoming more and more interesting. An officer enters the mansion calling Wu Yang uncle. She came to inquire about a recent incident. The girl explains that she received a call from the police station and was told that a kidnapping had almost occurred here. So Tan personally arrived to find out everything. The girl notices Feng sitting on the sofa. He looked at Tang calmly. The girl pointed her finger at the guy, trying to figure out what he was doing in the Wu Yang mansion. The guy smiled and waved his hand at the officer. He was glad to meet the girl again. The girl demands that the guy shut up. The guy adds that although he is happy to see the girl, if she calls him a liar again, he will sue Tan for slander. The girl was furious with the guy's presence. Wu Yang asks the officer to calm down and resolve the situation. Pointing her finger at Feng, the girl tries to understand why Wu Yang is so calm and allows the guy to live in his mansion. The guy smirks as he tries to call Officer Tan. The guy adds that at the moment he is Boje's fiancé and he doesn't understand why he can't live here. The girl was extremely frightened, her mouth open from such a sensation. The girl asks again with a scream if Bo is really his wife. Wu Yang stands silently to the side with his phone. The girl's hands were shaking with anger. She didn't believe that Feng and Bo would be engaged. Tan turns around and adds that he would be against such a wedding. With a grin, the guy explains that he doesn't need the officer's permission, asking who the girl thinks she is. Without waiting for an answer, the guy accompanies Tan to the exit and takes her outside. The guy asks Tan to come home and go to bed. The girl tries to appeal to the guy. Without listening to the girl, Feng closes the door in front of the officer. The girl was very angry with the guy's behavior. She couldn't stand it. The girl started screaming at the door and demanding that they open it for her. The guy silently goes up to his room without any reaction. The guy enters his room. All the thoughts about today's events were visiting his head. The guy jumps on the bed and tries to fall asleep in a good mood. Feng notices that he is becoming more and more interested. The guy notes that the Angel Foundation is a small organization. The guy didn't understand what other secrets this organization kept. Feng takes out a strange phone from his bag. The guy wants to contact his friend because she is always working on some dirty technology at such times. The guy remembers that it was this girl who did it to make his phone look like this. The guy dials his girlfriend's number, after which the phone screen starts displaying some image. It was the silhouette of his girlfriend greeting Feng. The girl noticed that the guy had not contacted her for a long time. She was interested in how things were going in Zhonghai. Feng decides to add that the girl is a good hacker and she herself knows what he does and what he is doing at the moment. The girl was embarrassed by the compliment. She asks the guy to tell her what exactly he wants to know. The girl asks if he wants her to block the entire information network or mobilize the nearest group of fighters to support the guy. Covering his face, the guy asks the girl to just check out the Angel Foundation for him. The girl was upset by such a simple job. She wanted to get a difficult job, not for 5 minutes. The girl asks to wait a few minutes, and she will send all the information. A girl sitting behind 100 monitors starts to quickly type something on the keyboard. The girl notes that this is a rather interesting company involved in genetic technologies. The girl adds that the company is also known as the legendary human genetic technology. Feng asks for a more detailed explanation of what is being discussed. The girl explains with an example that what the guy saw in films and TV series is what research is now trying to develop. The girl ends by saying that if they succeed, people will be able to extend life or make genetically modified warriors. The girl herself was surprised by this. The guy understands why he was sent to solve this problem because all the roots start from here. With a serious look, the boy notices that all the people in Zhonghai are looking at the Angel Foundation. The guy silently looks at the girl, continuing to think over all the options. The girl remembers what she wanted to ask Feng when they met. The girl asks why a woman is the head of his house. The girl tries to find out if Fen is going back to Zhonghai with different women. The guy is a little confused, not knowing what to say to this. The guy adds with a grin that children shouldn't interfere in adults' affairs, especially in the middle of the night. The girl calls the guy bad and starts stomping on the floor. Not wanting to listen to this any longer, the guy turns off his phone and puts it back in his bag. Rubbing his eyes, the guy calls the girl a little witch. After undressing, Fen lies down on the bed and tries to fall asleep. Before he could fall asleep, Fen realized that his back was itching badly. The guy doesn't immediately understand why his whole body itches so much, because there can't be mosquitoes or other pests in such a villa. The guy decides to inspect the entire bed for anything. He notices the same powder that Boji scattered on the first day. The guy jumps out of bed because of the powder. He assumes that this is a prank by that same lady. The guy puts on his clothes and heads down the corridor. The guy goes into the bathroom with the desire to wash off the scabies powder. While in the bathroom, the guy notes that he knows whose handiwork this is and that the war has only just begun. Boji, unable to continue guessing what exactly Fen and her father were discussing, decides to go to the guy and find out. The girl knocks on the bathroom door, asking if she can come in. The guy allows the girl to come in. The girl was embarrassed by the guy's appearance. The guy stood in front of Boji wearing only a towel. He looked at the girl with a grin. The girl immediately begins to cover her face. She does not understand why the guy was completely naked. The guy takes the girl by the hands, showing that he is not completely naked, but in a towel. The girl tries to step back. She clarifies what the guy is trying to do. Fen comes too close and leans towards the girl. Fen wonders why the girl came so late, assuming that the girl missed him. The girl blushed deeply, but she stated that she did not miss the guy at all. Unable to bear it any longer, Boji pushes the guy aside. The girl turns away in embarrassment because of the guy's appearance. The girl noted that Fen looks quite good without clothes because he has a pumped-up and beautiful body. The girl, folding her arms, sat down on the edge of the guy's bed, interested in what her father and Fen were discussing in the living room. The guy looks at the girl with a grin. He understood that Bo had completely forgotten about her trap. The guy laughed loudly. The girl looked at the guy in surprise. The girl asks if her boyfriend is listening because she asked the question clearly. The boy explains that her father asked her to be more understanding in the future because of her bad temper. The girl asked incredulously if her father had told her anything else. The guy adds that he also said that he will take care of the girl for the rest of his life. Fen decides to ask for a reward for telling Bo everything. The girl attacks the guy with a pillow. But at this moment, Bo begins to feel something strange. The girl jumps out of bed and realizes that everything starts to itch. The girl notices scabies powder where she had been sitting earlier. A guy offers to help a girl with an itch all over her body. The girl calls the guy a fool. The guy laughs with Boji as she leaves. The girl leaves the room confused. Boji is taking a bath and is already thinking about how she will take revenge on the guy. The guy falls asleep quickly and sleeps until the morning. The next morning, someone knocks loudly, and the girl demands that Fen get up and open the door. The guy quickly gets dressed and goes down the stairs. He didn't understand who could come to them so early. Opening the door, the guy notices Officer Tang on the threshold. Feng wonders why the girl came to them so early in the morning. The girl comes to the mansion, adding that it is none of his business. Boja comes down from the second floor to greet the girl. Tan explains the situation and that she is temporarily homeless and therefore asked to live in their house. Boji allows him to stay. Greeting his new neighbor, Tan asks if the guy will do anything rash. Feng was not very happy with this decision. He still decides to clarify whether the girl is going to live in their house or if she is making fun of him again. Tan asks with a serious face what the guy doesn't like about her living here. Fen waves her hand in response. Boja takes his sister's hand and suggests that she ignore Feng. The girl turns her head and demands that Fen prepare breakfast for everyone. The guy indignantly asks why he should cook breakfast. The girl reminds that Fen signed a contract stating that the guy is obliged to cook breakfast and clean the house. Without listening to the guy, the girl takes Tan to her room. Fen holds his head. He realizes that he has become a free cook and has really been deceived. Tan walks into the room with a suitcase. The girl asks if Fen said he was her father's cousin. The girls sit on the bed. Tan was worried that the guy was calling himself her sister's fiancé. Boja falls onto the bed and explains that this all happened because of her father. The girl explains that this is all happening because Feng has a large number of shares in the company, and they had to make this a fake marriage. The girl adds that her father is trying to deceive the guy and return all the company shares. Tan tries to sympathize with his sister. Boja asks to forget about the guy and talk about something else, because they haven't seen each other for about 2 months. Bo lies down closer to Tan and asks if the girl has a boyfriend. Tan silently looks at the ceiling, not knowing what to answer. Tan flips Bo over and sits on top, calling the girl a little thorn for having the nerve to ask that. The girl began to touch and tickle Bo Ji, wanting to tease her. Bo began to twitch. She felt very ticklish from the girl's hands. Boja adds that he is very worried about the girl's personal life. Tan adds that only the one who can defeat her can become her boyfriend. That's why all the handsome guys run away from her. Boji adds that girls should not be invincible, but soft and feminine. Tan gets on top holding Bo's chest. Bo adds that otherwise the girl will remain alone and become an old woman. Tan reminds her that Bo is lying down and is in her power. The girl decides to correct this and punish Bo for her behavior with a smile. Bo. She declares that he is not afraid of the girl. Tan presses himself against Tan, saying that he will show her. A tired Fen comes through the door, saying that breakfast is ready. The guy looks at what the girls are doing with surprise. He was amazed that Tang was on Boji in such a position. Tan, hearing the guy's voice, immediately throws a pillow after him. The girl takes another pillow. She was furious that the guy came in without knocking. The guy explains with a grin that he came to invite the girls to breakfast, and not what they thought. Covering himself with a pillow, Fen noticed that Tang had quite a beautiful figure. Tan gets out of bed and looks angrily at Feng. The guy still continued to stand and stare at the girls, which also infuriated Boji. She orders the guy to leave her room, after which he suddenly gets up and throws another pillow at the door, saying, "Get lost." The guy says goodbye to the girls with a grin, suggesting that they continue without his presence. After leaving the door, the guy once again asks the girls not to stop and to continue. In his thoughts, the guy noted that life in the mansion would become even more colorful. The Angel Foundation office was located in the city center. One of the agents in the office checks to see if everything worked out. The man receives a phone call informing him that 3 agents were unable to complete the mission and were taken away by the police. The guy couldn't understand how his agents couldn't cope, because all of Ouyang's security was on vacation and he was completely alone. The man on the phone reports that an unknown guy living in the Ouyang mansion was able to stop their entire mission all by himself. The man adds that this guy arrived in Shanghai just 3 days ago. Sitting at his desk, the man orders his subordinates to find out everything about him, because now was the best time to carry out their plan. After hanging up the phone, the man understood that things wouldn't be so easy with Ouyang. Leaning back in his chair, the man credits luck as he considers his next steps. Gritting his teeth, the man notes that in a few days, Ouyang's luck will no longer help him. At this time, Fen is silently having breakfast in a not very friendly family circle. Tan glared at the boy because of the recent events. The girl did not take her eyes off Feng and furiously chewed the prepared food. The guy mentally asked the girl to stop staring at him and give him something to eat properly. The guy sighed and didn't understand why he was being punished for all this. Without finishing his breakfast, the guy gets up from the table. Fen adds that he is full and puts his plate in the sink. The girls continue to look at the guy leaving. Fen adds that they are eating too slowly. Tan couldn't forgive the guy. She continued to mentally curse the guy for today. The girl now calls him not only a liar but also a shameless pervert. Boji adds that Fen accidentally walked in and saw them, because that's not something to kill the guy for. Tan stands up abruptly, indignant that he didn't just look but something more. Tang thought about it, guessing that Boji had started to protect Feng. Tan adds that Boji apparently fell in love with the guy. The girl suddenly screamed that this couldn't be because no one liked him. Tan was still indignant that Fenin had taken advantage of her while she was distracted. Tan enthusiastically declared that she would teach the guy a lesson today. At this time, Fen himself went outside and decided to take a walk. Tan remembers the moment when the guy looked straight at her with lecherous eyes. The girl was still very excited about what the guy might have seen when he entered the room. Kicking a stone, Fen walked down the street remembering Officer Tang. The guy noted to himself that he really didn't have time to see anything. Sighing, the guy added that it was hard for him to live in a love nest with an unmarried girl, because she was like a 3-kilowatt light bulb watching him. While passing by Teacher Mo's house, the boy notices an unfamiliar car. There was a luxurious red sports car parked near the house. Inside the car sat a man in an expensive suit with a huge bouquet of roses. The guy laughingly noted that the man thought it was cool to start courting early in the morning. Moving on, the guy hears the discontent of his teacher Lan. Fen turns around. He feels like this is more than just courtship. The girl tries to understand what the man wants from her. After all, she had already refused him. The girl explains that there can be nothing between them. The man folds his arms and declares that she has no right to decide what will happen between them, since her father lost the contract for the girl. The man comes closer and offers to terminate the contract for 5 million yuan, because that is the sum of all her father's debts. The girl looks around in confusion, not knowing what to do. The girl declares that she will pay the man back the entire debt of 5 million, but demands that he stop pursuing her from this moment on. The man laughingly declares that this is a very high price because she is only a teacher. He was also not happy that some ordinary girl was refusing him. Miss Lan doesn't know what to say to this. She is thinking about how to get out of this situation. Fen decides to go up and help teacher Mo, calling her his wife. The guy stands in front of the man and reminds him that the woman has a sore leg and that she shouldn't walk alone because it's in a lot of pain. The guy takes the girl in his arms and lifts her up. Fen carries the girl home, saying that he will help her and carry Miss Lan all the way to the bed. The man was very angry about this situation and shouted after him. Fen turns around and declares that the man came to confess his love to his girlfriend, but he didn't ask who he was. The man clarifies that Miss Lan is his girlfriend. Feng adds that the guy can't see. The man looks the guy over completely and has absolutely no idea what is so special about him. The man mockingly points his finger at the boy, calling him a pauper and demanding that Mo Lan explain himself. With a grin, Fen adds that he finds it amusing that the man calls him a puppy. The man was very angry. He did not understand who Fen was to Mo Lan. With a deft movement of his hand, Fen cuts the man's pants, noting that although the guy is rich, he could afford normal pants. A man looks at his pants and notices a huge hole. The guy's underwear is visible through the cut, which makes him very embarrassed. Fen quickly puts his knife back into his sleeve. The man covers his nakedness. Feng scoffs at the Superman print underwear, calling it a good choice. The man, continuing to cover himself, points his finger at the couple, assuring them that they will pay for such humiliation. The man also reminds with a grin that he still has a contract for her life from the girl's father. Feng mockingly bombards the man with various provocations and explanations as to why he does not own Mo Lan's life. The man stands there, confused, silently watching the couple leave. Fen asks the girl not to get involved with dubious men in the future because madness is contagious. The girl sheepishly agrees with the guy. The man looks out the window indignantly and watches as the couple goes up to the second floor. The man threatens the couple that they will be killed. The man no longer controlled his anger. The girl lived in the same huge mansion as the Young family. Mo Lan was still lying in Feng's arms. The girl was confused. With a smile, Fen asks the girl not to look at him like that, because he himself will soon start to feel embarrassed. The girl blushes and sends the guy away, but also calls him too cute. The guy takes the girl by the hand and moves closer to the girl's face. The girl, confused, asks what Fen is trying to do to her. Without further ado, the guy kisses the girl, which greatly shocks her. In her mind, the girl couldn't understand how the guy dared to kiss her without permission. The girl grabs the guy by the shoulder and doesn't let him go. It was a fairly long kiss, which suited the girl. The window into the room where the couple was opened and the curtain began to flutter violently. Fen notes that it was awkward. Noting that it was the girl's first kiss, the girl turns away. She wonders how much experience Feng had. In her mind, the girl could not believe that she kissed a student. The girl thanked the guy for saving her, because she didn't know what would have happened to her if the guy hadn't arrived in time. Lan adds that Fen offended Xiao Yuan today and now the guy is in big trouble. The guy laughs and explains that all his friends call him a ladies' man. The girl found this very funny because she really did fall in love with him. Lan is worried about Feng because Xiao will look for an opportunity to take revenge on the guy. The girl would not want Feng to get into trouble because of her. Fen asks if the girl knows him and what family he is from. The girl adds that the guy's family is very rich. After all, in Shanghai, the city is divided into family territories, and Xiao is no exception. The guy doesn't quite understand what Mo Lan was talking about just now. The girl explains that they are talking about the 4 untouchable families in Shanghai, and the hell from the eastern part of the city belongs to the Xiao family. The tigers from the western part were Xiang Hu's gang. They were all murderers and outlaws. The girl also mentions the falling snow in the south, which is familiar to Feng. The Iman family is responsible for this area, as well as the ancients in the north of the city, the ancient Shanghai family. The guy notes that the city's government has changed a lot in Shanghai over the past 3 years. Fen was also interested. Since Lan was familiar with the Xiao family, he needed to know what they were doing. The girl explains that the Xiao family is officially engaged in the entertainment business in Shanghai, but if you learn more about this family, you will understand that they are actually secretly opening countless illegal casinos. Lan adds that there are so many of these underground casinos that they can be found anywhere in the city. Holding the guy's chin, everything now becomes clear. Fen remembers that Xiao had a purchase and sale contract because of Lan's father's debt. The girl asks what the guy with such a scary smile is thinking about. Stretching, Fen quickly stands up. He states that the girl should not worry. With a grin, the guy says that he doesn't have enough money and so he's going to go to the casino and earn some money. The girl was unhappy with the guy's decision. She was not ready to let him go to the casino. Fen asks the girl to calm down because this is just an ordinary underground casino. Fen adds that it is normal for young people to go crazy from time to time. The girl stands her ground and doesn't even want to listen. Lon tries to forbid the guy to go to the casino. Fen comes closer and leans in, asking if the girl has a good reason for him not to go to the casino. The girl was very embarrassed and blushed. She reminds him that she is his teacher and cannot allow the student to get on a slippery slope. Fen states that the girl won't be able to convince him as a teacher, but if she becomes his girlfriend, she could fix that. Turning away, the girl declares that no one would want to be his girlfriend. The girl began to think about alternative ideas. Lon suggests that if the guy plans to go to the casino, he must take her with him. The guy yawns and reminds her that the girl has problems with her leg. The girl gets up from the sofa and demonstratively makes several circles in front of Feng. The girl shows that she has no problems with her leg, thereby believing that the guy is obliged to take her with him. The doe stumbles and begins to fall, unable to stay on his feet. Fen manages to catch the girl so that she doesn't fall onto the tiles. The guy takes the girl in his arms and asks her not to worry because he is able to go himself. Fen puts the girl on the bed and leaves her to rest. Fen bids farewell to Lan Yu and asks him to have a good rest today while he goes about his business. The guy heads for the exit, but the girl asks him to wait. Fen stops. The girl turns and addresses the guy. Fen clarifies what exactly the girl wants to tell him. The girl explains sheepishly that she hasn't showered or changed clothes since yesterday. Lan looks away and asks the guy to wait and help her with this. Feng confirms with a grin that he is always ready to help with taking a shower, and he is also ready to undress the girl. The girl angrily explains that she is only asking the guy to change the bandage. The guy looks at the girl with disappointment. Fen didn't expect this. Fen slowly removes the bandage from the girl's leg. After this, Fen applies new bandages to the girl's wound. After finishing, Fen heads towards the exit and says goodbye to Lan. After the guy leaves, the girl undresses and heads to the shower. The girl takes a bath and thinks about recent events. Lan amazed Fen. She didn't understand who the guy really was. All the students gathered at the university for their first lesson. Fen also walked without any textbooks. Many students paid attention to Feng's appearance. The other half of the students were whispering among themselves because Fen had become the new fiancé of the legendary Ouyang Boje. The two hooligans said that Fen looked like a beggar and that someone like him shouldn't be around Ouyang. The boys call the girl their goddess, not understanding what exactly Ouyang could see in such a pathetic guy. Gritting his teeth, Fen was outraged that the pathetic hooligans were shouting something after him. The karate club members quickly began to gather in front of the face. A crowd of guys surrounded Feng and stared at him. Fen stood calmly and waited for the guys to make the first move towards him. The eldest of all the karatekas asks if he is Fen. Fen silently holds his hands in his pocket and does not react to those in any way. Many students gather to watch the spectacle. Everyone knew that the karate club would punish the boy. One of the observers noted that it would be spectacular to see the guy get beaten up. Fen slowly takes out a cigarette and a lighter, lighting it. Fen confirms that he is Zifeng, but he does not understand what they want from him. The eldest one mockingly introduces himself as the vice president of the karate club and explains that he came here for one thing. Fen calmly asks why he approached him. Vice gets too close and points at Feng. He adds that he crossed them and is the fiancé of the girl their president likes, so they will punish the guy for such recklessness. Two karatekas raised their arms, ready to fight back. The boys still surrounded Feng and laughed at his pitiful situation. Fen, with a cigarette in his teeth, decides to clarify what exactly they want to tell him. This really shocked everyone present because they were planning to fight him. The vice president, not knowing what to say to such a stupid question, adds that he did not intend to say anything. Fen asks in that case to move out of his way because now he has classes and no time to quarrel with a bunch of young brats. Vice clarifies that this is all the guy wanted to say, because they came here to fight. The other students support the idea and suggest that Feng fight for his love and not leave in disgrace. One of the karate club members asks if they will let Feng go so easily. Vice was not at all happy with this and decided to confront the guy himself. Vice blocks the way with his body, saying that he will not let him pass without a fight. Unperturbed, Fen calls the entire karate club pathetic idiots. Vice starts pointing his finger at Feng and accusing him of weakness. Fen silently looks at the speaking vice president of the karate club. The guy also silently grabs the vice's finger with one hand, after which, with the same easy movement of the hand, he breaks the finger. The guy, in tears, grabs his hand and screams in pain. Without waiting for the guy to come to his senses, Fen kicks Vice to the side. Fen adds that this was a small lesson for him and he shouldn't associate it with him, because next time it will be much worse. Vice is slowly surrounded by all the members of the karate club. They were worried about the guy's condition. Vice stands up with difficulty and orders the others to finish off Feng immediately. All the karatekas suddenly pounce on Feng alone. Fen throws down his cigarette to teach another lesson. Sighing, the guy adds sarcastically that he is very scared at the sight of such a crowd. Fen encourages them to attack, calling them suckers. Vice was amazed at how Fen handled each of his guys. The entire karate club was defeated, and they all lay under Feng's feet. Fen continues walking towards the university building. Stopping along the way to light another cigarette, Fen calls all the members of the karate club pathetic scum. Everyone present was amazed by such strength and endurance, but Vice tried to crawl away from Feng in fear. Fen smirked at such poor martial arts skills. For a long time, the entire crowd could not come to their senses and understand how Feng managed to do this. Everyone began to whisper among themselves, noticing Feng's strength. Some blamed the karate club and their weakness, while others pointed out that Fen was actually too strong. A girl standing in the crowd noted that such a strong guy should be in the school's power rankings. The blue-haired girl was wondering what she had missed during her few days away from school. Looking at Feng leaving, the girl wished to have such a master in her ancient martial arts club. Unable to crawl any further, the Vice asked Feng not to approach him. Vice reminded that this was a university and that such jokes were not allowed here. Fen looks at the frightened boy with a smirk. Fen notices a strange girl among the crowd, but does not dare to approach her. The girl turns first and asks to wait for Feng. The girl asks to leave the karate club alone this time. The other people present recognize the girl because it was Miss Shi. The girl does not come to school very often, but everyone knew her very well. All the students were amazed that the two goddesses were somehow connected with Feng. Fen, with a cigarette in his mouth, looks at the girl, calling her Shi. The guy realizes that, although she looks similar, this girl is a little older, assuming that she is from their family. The girl slowly approaches Feng, adjusting her luxurious hair. The girl extends her hand in greeting. Miss Shi greets Feng and states her full name, Shimen Piu Shui, introducing herself as the head of the ancient martial arts club. The guy notices to himself that the girl is indeed Jimin from the falling snow of the Jimin family. Fen kindly extends his hand and greets the girl. The girl tries to squeeze the guy's hand, but she is completely unsuccessful. The guy smirks and notes that the girl has smooth and soft hands and doesn't look like someone who practices martial arts. People watching all this were amazed by such impudence because it was a direct insult to the goddess. Some assumed that the guy was trying to seduce the queen right at the university. The crowd, looking at this long handshake, believed that after this he would definitely become a dead man. Fen smiles silently at the girl with a cigarette in her teeth. Miss C was very irritated by this, especially when the guy tried to hit on her. The girl also couldn't accept that the guy was judging her based on just a handshake. With a serious face, Fen also noted that he didn't know how wild the girl was, wanting to continue playing with her. After that, a battle of glances took place, and a storm formed around them. To the rest of the crowd, it seemed like Fen and Mrs. Shi had fallen in love at first sight, which was why they stood together for so long. The girls noted that this was the legendary love at first sight. The guys continued to watch it silently. The guy was already starting to yawn because the girl didn't let go of his hand. She still tried to show her strength in the handshake, but everything was clear. The girl understands that she did everything she could, but the guy was too frivolous in his expression. Fen still decided to clarify how exactly the girl with such soft and smooth hands trained. The guy lets go of the girl's hand, waiting for an answer. The girl notes that Fen is truly an expert in his field, which amuses her. Fen decides to smell the girl's hand, while also complimenting Miss Shi. The girl still decides to invite Feng to her ancient martial arts club because they are one of the 3 best clubs in the university. Many were amazed that the girl invited an inconspicuous guy to such a popular club of ancient arts. The head of the karate club comes out to see what's going on. He thinks that if Fen joins the ancient arts club, they won't be able to do anything about it. People in the crowd noticed that Feng had found a fairly strong ally for himself. One of the karate club members reports this to the vice president because they cannot allow him to join the arts club. Vice asks the guy to shut up, reminding him what the guy is talking about. Fen asks Miss Shi if this will be of any use to him, since they are the ones who need it. The girl asks again what kind of benefit Fen is talking about now. One guy from the crowd clarifies that Fen wants to gain something from joining the ancient martial arts club. People couldn't believe that the guy was looking for some kind of benefit in this, because everything would become available to him and he wouldn't even have to go to university. Fen, holding the back of his head, asks to forget about it, because he refuses such an offer due to constraint in future actions. Feng bids farewell to Miss Shi, calling her a beauty, adding that if they meet in the future, it will be fate. Without waiting for an answer, Fen slowly walks towards the building. The girl was not happy with this arrangement because no one had ever dared to oppose her before. The next sparring sessions are taking place in the karate club hall. The head of the club sat in his usual place with a report from his vice. Arriving at the gym, the vice explains that the guy is too dangerous and they should teach him a lesson, because Fen considers their club pathetic. The leader was amazed that Fen managed to cope with 8 people alone. The guy notes that he expected a small, pimply kun. Now the guy understands why Jin Ming couldn't do anything to this guy. The leader sits silently, wondering what their next step should be. The chief calls his vice president over for a conversation. The guy whispers something to his vice, causing him to nod approvingly. The guy thinks this is a really good next move. He was noticing all the genius of his boss. The leader, folding his arms, explains that even though they are a karate club, they still have to use their intelligence sometimes. The leader still couldn't believe that Fen could overcome 8 of his men. The guy wonders if Fen can handle the next step. At this moment, walking down the street, Fen sneezes loudly. Wiping his nose, Fen guesses that one of his girls is remembering him. Walking down the street, Fen begins to stretch. Several girls pass by the guy, which greatly amuses him. Fen notes that this is the best university he has ever been to. The guy glances at the girls out of the corner of his eye. The guy adds that there are a lot of hot girls at the university, and after clearing his throat, Fen changes and calls it a youthful atmosphere. At this moment, someone starts calling the guy's phone. Fen doesn't understand who could be calling him because the guy hasn't seen this number before. Fen continued walking through the park. The guy picks up the phone and asks who called him. The girl clarified through tears whether it was Feng because 3 years had already passed and the guy had finally returned. The girl couldn't contain her joy that the guy had finally returned home. The guy, trying to console the girl, asks her not to cry, because he really is back. The girl is trying to find out where exactly the guy is now so that she can come and meet him. The guy doesn't immediately dare to say where exactly he is, but Fen still explains that he is in the Chinese Academy of Arts. The girl adds that she will be there soon and hangs up. The girl calls her butler to prepare the car for departure. The guy didn't understand why the girl needed him so urgently. Fen noted that nothing had changed in so much time, because the girl had always been impatient. At this time, a girl runs past the guy. Fen was looking at his phone at this time. The girl crashes into the guy and falls to the ground in front of him. The girl angrily yells at the guy. Fen stands there in bewilderment. The girl turns to the guy. She is confused why the guy is not looking where he is going. After all, she was trying to get around him. Fen suddenly woke up and realized what he should do first. Sparks appeared in the guy's eyes and steam came out of his nose. Fen extends his hand and asks to forgive him for such a misunderstanding. Fen apologizes again and offers to make amends over a cup of coffee, calling the girl beautiful. The girl looks away and asks to forget about this misunderstanding. The girl tries to leave, adding that she is not interested in such things at all. At this moment, a guy runs by calling the girl Fei Fei. The guy, out of breath, calls the girl again, waiting for an answer. The guy asks him to wait and stop running so fast. The girl, covering her face, calls the guy an idiot because she is tired of him always running after her. The guy looks at the girl with loving eyes, calling her name. Fen, with his hands in his pockets, looks at the guy silently. The guy was not at all happy with Feng's presence, so he immediately asked the girl to explain herself. The girl observes that the guy started arguing with someone and decided to take advantage of this. The girl noted that this was a good chance, because the guy had understood everything completely wrong. Fen tries to understand what the guy is trying to ask him. The girl slowly approaches Fen. The girl hugs Feng's hand, calling him her boyfriend. Feng looks at Fei Fei questioningly. The girl begins to press her body tightly against Feng's hand, after which she laid her head on Fen's shoulder. This suited Fen. Fen wonders what exactly the stranger wanted from him. The guy with flames in his eyes understood who Fen was to the girl. The girl explains to the guy that she already has a boyfriend and it is Fen. The girl asks teacher Wang to stop pestering her in the future. Fei Fei adds that otherwise her boyfriend will get angry and there will be a serious conversation. Fen understands that he will have to be another protector today. Teacher Wang still couldn't believe what he heard. He didn't recognize Feng as that same guy. The guy looked angrily into Feng's eyes. Fen didn't understand what the guy was trying to achieve. Fen assumes that he has the face of a ladies' man because there are no other reasons why girls are constantly chasing him. Wang indignantly declares that the girl has no right to have a boyfriend at university. Pointing his finger at Feng, he remarks, "Especially such a beggar." Fen was furious after being accused of being a beggar. Fen decides to answer by adding that it is none of his business whether Fei Fei needs a guy or not. The guy was also bothered by the fact that teacher Wang was putting a lot of pressure on the girl. The guy also points out that they are at a university where everyone is already an adult, so no one is forbidden from having a boyfriend or girlfriend. Teacher Wang says that the girl is in the acting department and will become a big celebrity in the future, so she should not have a relationship or intimate life, because this is the main rule. The man adds that he had planned to consider Fei Fei for the lead role in his series, but alas, because of what he has just seen, he will have to look for other options. The girl asks if what the man is saying now is true. The man says with a smile that this is the purest truth and the manner and behavior are very suitable for the future main character. Noting that this role could be the starting point of her career, teacher Wang points his finger at Feng and demands that the girl dump the guy and then he will give up the role. The guy smirked and noted that if the girl broke up with Fen, she would be able to get Fei Fei into her arms. Fen and Fei Fei were walking hand in hand. The guy assumed that this was just a trick by the man. He wondered if the girl would understand. Fei Fei looked at the man in silence, deep in thought. At that moment, the girl came closer to the teacher and indignantly declared that she would not part with Feng because of the leading role. The man was shocked and very angry with such an answer. The teacher asks again if the girl is sure that she wants to reject his feelings. The girl adds with a serious face that she understands everything, and the man's cheap trick won't work on her. Unable to bear such humiliation, the man, in anger, swings at the girl. The teacher could not dare to insult him to some girl. Fei Fei provokes the man and asks him to hit her, because she had no plans to change her mind. In that moment, Fen easily catches the man's hand. With a smirk, Fen looks at the teacher's face and declares that it is an insult to be such a teacher. The man, in a commanding tone, demands that Fen let him go immediately. With a sneer, Fen agrees with the man and decides to let him go. The man suddenly removes his hand and begins to fall. The teacher falls to the ground with all his might, thus receiving a small blow. While on the ground, the man demanded that the guy introduce himself, because he wanted to exclude the ignorant Feng. Fen, without any fear, introduces himself with his full name and asks him to look for him in the piano class. Feng, without waiting for the teacher's threats, takes Fen by the arm and begins to lead her away. The teacher gets to his feet with difficulty and the severe pain in his back begins to move in the opposite direction. Gritting his teeth, the man could not forgive Feng for such humiliation. The teacher was going to take revenge for this. The man shouted loudly for Fen to just wait for justice. At this moment, Fen and the girl continued walking towards the academic building. All the students were shocked that the popular Fen was walking hand in hand with an unknown guy. The girls watching from the side also noted the beauty of the guy and the girl, calling them the perfect couple. As he continued walking, Fen jokingly stated that he wouldn't mind finding a beautiful girl to date. Fen added that the guy could only dream about it, but Fen still did not remove his hand from the girl's waist. The girl was annoyed that the guy was too close and had his hand on her waist. With a grin, Fen throws his hands behind his head and explains his behavior as a bad habit. With a smile, the girl nudges the guy in the side, clarifying what exactly the guy felt while holding her by the waist. Fen looks at his hand without any unnecessary shame and begins to describe all the pleasant feelings he experienced at that moment. The girl, not wanting to continue listening to the guy, suddenly steps on Feng's boot. The girl, without showing it, smiles and notes that the guy is very observant. Feng's face was blank from the stabbing pain in his leg. Continuing to walk, the guy reiterates that it's just a bad habit. Fei Fei couldn't help but laugh sweetly in response. The girl decides to say goodbye in Phonem, because it was already late and she had to go about her business. As he watched the girl leave, Fen called the girl a hottie. Returning to the academic building, the first thing Fen notices is the large number of people. Feng notes that the entire crowd was heading to one place and watching some event. Feng felt it was strange that all the people were staring at something. One of the guys in the crowd noted that there had been an accident just recently and they should take a look. Some guys called it a vile and pathetic act. The crowd notices that the car door suddenly opens and Miss C steps out. Fen immediately realizes that his friend is involved in the accident. The unknown man immediately throws himself at the girl's feet and asks Miss C not to kill him. The man asked the rest of the onlookers to join in and grab the culprit of the incident. Miss I didn't understand what had happened and asked the man to get up so she could take him to a good hospital. The man did not want to listen to Miss C and continued to hold the girl by the legs. The man explained this by saying that the girl had turned his shop upside down and should pay compensation for everything that had happened. The crowd believed that Miss C should really pay a lot of money for the broken shop. One of the men in the crowd decides to support Miss C and claims that the stranger simply leaned against and deliberately knocked over his bench. All the people united and noted that this was not the first time the woman had done something like this. The woman panicked a little. She understood that she needed to make money off the girl at any cost. Miss C adds, confused, that she can return the money, specifying exactly how much she should pay. The woman grinned maliciously at what she heard. The woman claims that the total cost of the damage will be $500,000. Mrs. C still stood next to her car, perplexed. The lovers were outraged by the incident and that a rich girl could allow herself to do such a thing. The woman begins to get annoyed by the crowd's intense attention. The woman angrily begins to shout and demand that people stop talking. People were slightly surprised by the woman's brazen behavior. The whole crowd was confused and wanted someone to finally resolve this situation. The woman notes with a grin that $500,000 is not much for a girl who has a Maserati. Miss C tries to explain to the woman that she doesn't have any cash on her at the moment. The woman smirks and points out that Miss C could easily pay with her car. At that moment, Miss C became very angry at such impudence. Miss C asks again if the woman wants her car. The woman adds that this is approximately enough for her and maybe even more. At this moment, Fen comes up behind the woman and asks her not to pay attention to the swindler. The whole crowd was confused as to who the unknown guy was, calling him a national hero. Fen explains that the scammer is simply trying to make money this way. The crowd does not understand why Fen is so bold, since he is facing the woman's retribution. One of the guys in the crowd shouts that he is with Feng until the end and will stand up for him. The woman was outraged by this and almost burned with rage. Miss Shi immediately realized who the unknown savior was, namely Feng. The woman angrily declares that she will sue for slander if the guy does not stop, because she has people in the police. Fen takes his phone out of his pocket and asks again if the girl plans to sue him for slander. Fen turns off the recorder and adds that he will sue the woman for extortion himself. Feng shows his phone and explains that he has already uploaded the video to the internet. The video quickly began to gain popularity and many have already managed to react to the incident. Fen wanted to see what kind of police patrons the woman really had. The woman didn't know what to answer to the guy's impudence. The woman was completely crushed and stumbled over her words. Fen loudly demanded that the woman leave immediately because he would call the police. The entire crowd supported the guy and demanded that the woman leave. The crowd chased her away in unison and called her various offensive names. Feng looked at the depressed woman with a smirk. The crowd continued to shout after her. The woman was furious about everything that was happening because her plan was ruined. The woman could not tolerate such humiliation from society. The woman suddenly starts to run away from the surrounding crowd. She planned to pay back Feng for the humiliation later. Fen comes closer to Miss Shi. The girl understood who exactly was in front of her. Fen gently straightens Miss Shi's hair and calls her beautiful. Feng came closer to Miss Shi and hugged her. The guy wondered if he had scared the girl. The girl laughed slightly, called Feng a handsome man, and wanted to reward him, after which she immediately kissed Feng. The whole crowd envied the guy's position, because a beautiful girl showed interest in him. Some of the guys in the crowd called the girl their goddess. Having fixed her hair, Miss C was still embarrassed. The girl asked if the guy was free in the afternoon. Fen held the girl's hand with a smile and noted how wonderful this proposal was. At that moment, two unknown individuals were standing around the corner of the house and trying to film everything on camera. Fen and Miss Shi walked away from the unknown people's sight hand in hand. The men planned to hand over the footage they had received to Master Ming. Having reached Miss Shi's car, Fen also sat next to her. Already in the car, Miss C decides to find out where the guy had been all this time, because she was worried and used all her strength to find the guy. The guy puts his hands on Miss C's shoulders and asks with a smile if the girl thought he was dead. The girl covers Feng's mouth and asks him not to say that again, because she has barely endured all these years and cannot part with him again. Fen removes the girl's hand and reminds her that this is impossible because he really is cool. Fen decided to remember that special operation in which his friends died. The guy planned to take revenge at any cost, because that was the meaning of survival. The guy lowered his head and looked out the window. Miss Shi added that she tried to follow the ancient family and take revenge, but everyone she sent was immediately killed. Fen was no less interested in this conversation, so he listened carefully to the girl. Miss Shi recalled that after the explosion, Gu Wucheng immediately died mysteriously and was replaced by his deputy, Gu Tianjun. Miss Shi found it strange that the other families suddenly started supporting him, which is why the girl still couldn't come to terms with it. The girl considered this event terrible, because it was not a small game in the town of Qinghai, but something more global. Miss Shi didn't understand who Fen really was and why they wanted to kill him so badly. Fen, after listening to the girl, takes a cigarette and lights it. With a serious face, Feng called Miss Shi a stupid girl whom he didn't want to put in danger before. But at this moment, the guy was ready to tell everything. Feng introduces himself with a grin as the chief instructor of the Eastern Special Combat Team. Fen calls himself Marshal Ye Zifen. At this moment, a policewoman came and reminded them of a recent robbery involving their car, so Fen, being an accomplice, must follow her to the station for investigation. In his mind, Fen understood that the robbery was just a pretext because the girl simply wanted to take revenge on him. Feng asks Officer Tang with a smile if he looks like a bad guy. Officer Tang, with a serious face, states that if she says so, the boy must obey. Officer Tan notices a previously unknown girl getting out of the car. Miss Shi comes closer to Officer Tang and confirms that they have nothing to do with the robbery, and if the officer does not believe her, then the girl can search the car. Officer Tang was furious at Miss Shi's beauty and wanted to punish the couple at any cost. The officer decides to ask if there is any evidence of their innocence in the robbery that was committed. Miss Shi, with a little pressure, also decides to ask a counter question. Is there any evidence that they were involved in the robbery? Officer Tan explains that since there is no evidence, she is obliged to bring it to the station for further investigation. Miss Shi moves closer to Officer Tang and agrees to go with her to the station. An angry Tan wanted nothing more than to take Miss Shi to the police station and teach her a lesson for her insolence. Miss C slowly takes off her glasses. Ms. C says that before she goes with the girl, she will call her lawyer and wait for him at the police station, as this is her civil right. Pointing her finger at the officer, the girl adds that if they are found innocent, she will sue for slander. Officer Tan realizes that the whole situation is getting out of control. Officer Tan tried to think of what to do in this situation. Fen smiled as he noted how cool Miss Shi was and how she was able to defend their rights. Realizing that she is powerless, Tan grits her teeth and heads towards the police car. Tan adds that he will still show the girl who is really cooler. Officer Tang planned to take revenge on that damn Feng. Mrs. Shi and Fen watched the girl go. Mrs. Yi immediately turns to Feng and asks who the officer really is. Assuming that they are having an affair, Fen, waving his hands, declares that these are false accusations because the girl had a fierce look, and he is not able to cope with such a thing. The girl was happy hugging Feng's hand. She understood that after 3 years of absence, the guy would not lay eyes on his friend. The girl looked at the guy's face with loving eyes. In that moment, Miss Shi and Fen become close and plunge into a passionate kiss. All the students notice how Fen and Miss Shi begin to kiss passionately. Fen adds at the end that he can't even think about other women when he has such a beautiful Shi by his side. People passing by were outraged that the girl was kissing in public. Miss Shi silently looked at Feng with loving eyes. The girl invites Feng to come to her villa in the evening, where she lives alone. Feng understands that it is difficult to give this up. Miss C adds that she is still faithful to him and will do anything for the guy. Turning her head slightly to the side, Fen reluctantly declines the meeting tonight. With his hands in his pockets, the boy explains that he needs to go to the casino and meet the Xiao family. Miss C suggests that it has something to do with the recent incident. Fen was still perplexed, how in 3 years they had gone from being a third-rate family to being one of the 4 major families of Zhonghai, making everything that happened suspicious. Miss Shi asks the boy to be careful in an unknown casino. Fen agrees with the girl with a smile. Stepping aside, Fen says goodbye to Miss Shi. The girl gets back into her car. At this moment, 2 unknown persons are watching the couple through the windshield. The man sitting behind her decides to say that he didn't expect to see the icy Miss C so frank. The driver asks what they will do next, suggesting that they kill Feng. The man believes that this is not necessary and that they have a much more humane way, namely, to ask for money for such a small photograph. The men's car was still in the alley near the incident. The driver notes that Fen is finally alone and that they will need more people to carry out their plan. The confident man behind him thought he could easily beat Feng with one hand. The driver agrees with the man, believing he was the best two-way player in the world. The man asks to stop flattering him and solve their problem on the spot. The car suddenly turns the corner and drives past Feng. The car makes a police U-turn and stops in front of Feng, which doesn't bother him at all. Fen grinned and assumed that he was in trouble again. The man gets out of the car and demands that Fen come to him immediately. With a laugh, Fen asks if he really wants him to come over. The man decides to call Feng over to him because they just wanted to talk. Fenya was interested in the unknown person. It seemed strange to him that the man in the suit knew him. Fen, clutching his head, wonders what the stranger wanted from him. The man places his hand on Feng's shoulder and explains that he just needs to talk to the boy. Feng immediately thinks of all the man's pain points, which he will press on if necessary. With a smirk, Fen realizes that the man is weak. The man unexpectedly, and for Feng himself, simply pushes him back, causing the guy to fall to the ground. Fen wonders in bewilderment why the man beats people for no reason. A guy gets out of the car and slowly approaches the man. Fen slowly gets to his feet. The man asks the boy not to resist, and then they will finish quickly. The guy who used to be the driver comes closer, flexing his arms. He calls Feng a weakling who is nothing special. The guy assumes that Fen is good for nothing except seducing girls. The man looked at Feng angrily and prepared to strike him again. Fen begins to suspect that the two strangers came specifically for Miss Shi. The guy points his finger at Feng and threatens to gouge out his eyes. Fen jokingly asks for mercy. The man orders Feng to go with them, because otherwise they were ready to use force. Fenya was outraged that unknown guys were trying to kidnap him in broad daylight. The men, unable to bear such impudence, decide to attack Feng first. Fen easily dodges the blow, causing the man to break through the wall. A giant mark left by a man's fist is left on the wall. The boy immediately notices that his brother's hand has turned red. Fen continues to mock the guys and asks them to spare him. After all, he has a wife, children, and a family. The man does not understand what the guy was trying to tell him. He continues to look at him questioningly. Fen adds with a smile that she doesn't have boyfriends for their recklessness. The man tries to attack Feng once again. Swinging at Feng's head, the boy easily dodges and catches the man's hand. Fen begins to squeeze the man's hand tightly. After this, Fen puts her hand behind the man's back, the squeezing hand behind the back. The man begins to writhe in pain. Fen, continuing to mock the man, gives him a strong kick in the butt, causing him to fly off to the side. The man is immobilized from severe pain and lies on the floor. Fen, with rage in her eyes, asks the guy to move away from the man because he should worry about his health. The guy is very lost. I wonder in his face what Fen wants to do with him. The boy falls to the ground in fear. Fen slowly approaches him and leans towards him in a menacing manner. The guy understands that he is in a hopeless situation and asks not to touch him because he is ready to cooperate. Fen asks Li if they want to kidnap him and threatens Shimon's family. The guy immediately reveals who they are, and I explained that this is all done to expand the territory of the Xiao family. Fen, deciding to check whether he was telling the truth, kicks the ground. The guy was very scared. Falling at Feng's feet, he sincerely asked not to touch him. At that moment, a puddle formed around the guy. Fen begins to understand what exactly was under the guy. Fen, confused, asks to let his leg in because he didn't plan to kill him. The guy starts crying out of intense fear. Fen was outraged by the whole situation that arose around him. Having shaken himself off, Fen walks away, noticing how strange his day had been. At that moment, the man, having recovered, tried to get to his feet. The man takes a knife out of his suit and slowly walks towards Feng. The man gradually becomes accustomed to it and eventually begins to walk towards the guy. Fen immediately noticed the man heading towards him and easily dodged there. Stepping aside, he lightly hits the man in the chest with his hand. After this, Fen squeezes the man's hand tightly. Throwing the man onto his back, he decides to throw him over his shoulder. The man falls to the ground with a thud. Fen, warming up his hand, noticed that the man had absolutely no idea who he was dealing with. Fen leaves the scene. As he walks down the street, he realizes that the Zhao family has their eye on him and they need to be targeted tonight. Looking at the clock outside, he knew that he should already return to Molan. Fen quickly reaches Molan's house. The girl found everything still in bed. Pulling myself up, Mo was delighted with how well she slept. The girl understands that Fen should arrive soon and she should start getting ready. Fen himself appears behind her. He brought the girl's outfit and asked her to try it on. The girl was confused as to who was standing in front of her at that moment. The girl, now enlightened, realized that it was Fen. The girl, embarrassed, hits the guy in the face, not understanding how he got into her room. Holding his cheek, the guy ordered at the open window. Fen asked the girl to worry and install bars on her windows. because she could be in danger. Mo was still confused and shocked that a guy could climb through her window. The girl asks to immediately take the guy out while she gets dressed. Feng folded his arms and reminded him that he couldn't go to the casino alone. After all, they had an agreement. The girl asks not to change the subject because her legs have just healed and need to be prepared. At that moment, Fen stops listening to the girl and is distracted by her figure. The girl, even more embarrassed, hits the guy on the cheek again. After finishing getting ready, Fen and Mo go out to the car. Getting into the car, the couple heads to the designated casino. Fen continued to hold his cheek sullenly. Mo glanced at the guy with embarrassment. Mo, looking away, decided to check if the guy was okay after her blow. Fen asks the girl not to worry. Mo reminds that the guy is to blame himself because he decided to spy on her. The girl was embarrassed and blushed even more. She asked the guy to warn her next time when he decided to watch. Fen, not understanding what the girl is talking about, asks the girl to repeat. Mo panicked and grabbed the steering wheel and asked Feng not to pay attention. Fen notices how the girl starts to rush about on the road and asks her to be more careful. The couple quickly reaches the appointed place. The casino was located in the city center in a multi-story building. Fen guessed that in front of him was the Phoenix Entertainment House, which housed the Xiao family casino. Mo explains to the guy that all of the Xiao family's casinos are hidden behind some kind of legitimate businesses. Fen decides to swing the door and go outside. The guy opened the door slightly and stood on the ground. Mo at this point asks the guy to wait and add something. The girl asks Feng not to call her Miss Mo, but something simpler like darling or sweetheart. Mo blushed slightly at her words. Fen nods approvingly with a grin and agrees with her beloved's decision. Mo, realizing that she won't be able to stand it, assumes that she will ignore the guy all the time. Mo, slightly angry, heads towards the entrance of the establishment. At that moment, a pink car flies past the couple, but Fen reacts and manages to get Mo out from under the wheels. The girl leaned against the guy's chest, slightly frightened. Feng looks towards the stopped car with a serious face. A blonde man with glasses gets out of the car and looks towards the couple. The blonde turns around and heads towards the entrance without reacting to the incident. Mo got very angry because of the unknown man's disrespect. The girl began to blame the guy for his disrespect for others. The man stops at some point and turns his attention to the girl. The man said he did not see anyone and did not know that someone was standing in front of him. Mo was furious that the guy was provoking her. Fen asked the girl to calm down and stop paying attention to such people. The man calls Feng a weakling and offers to go with him and have dinner. Ignoring the blonde, Mo continues to walk accompanied by Feng. Feng slowly approaches the blonde man's pink sports car. Without any regret, Feng starts kicking the car door. The blonde was furious at this behavior because it was his car. Feng mockingly states that he didn't know there was a car in front of him because he simply didn't notice it. Mo pointed out how bad Fen was whenever she wanted. Fen adds that he acted exactly as the guy did to him. The man was furious because he wanted to take revenge on the ignorant Feng. Fen not wanting to continue listening, the man heads towards the entrance of the establishment. Fen goes into the elevator and goes up to the floor he needs. The man himself follows the couple, all excited. The man needs an explanation from the security guard as to whether the couple are members of the club. The guard bowed and stated that they were not members of their club. The man realized that the couple was finished after this. The man immediately calls his friend Xiao and announces that he has already arrived to see him. At this moment, the couple goes down to the room they need. Mo explained that there were restaurants on the first 2 floors and studios on the 3rd, and they needed to go up to the 9th floor, where the casino was located. Fen immediately presses button 9 to go up to the casino. Having reached the desired floor, they notice a luxurious corridor with various expensive furniture. Fen also noticed this and was interested in where the Xiao family got so much money. At this moment, an unknown girl comes out to the couple and asks who they are looking for. Mo easily explained that they were not looking for anyone, but simply wanted to have a little fun. The girl explains that everyone who enters the 9th floor lobby must have an acquaintance. Fen calls their rules stupid and explains that they just came to have fun. The girl asks the security to lead the strangers to the exit. Mo asks the guy what he should do next. Fen understood that they would not be able to break into the casino or sneak in unnoticed. At this moment, 2 men also come up to the floor. With a grin, Fen realized that these were people he knew before. The blonde man told his friend that this was the guy who kicked his car. The man understood who was in front of him and he also wanted to pay. The man folded his hands in his pockets and greeted Miss Molan. The man asks if the girl has changed her mind and if she wants to have sex with him. Mo looked askance at the guy, not understanding what they were talking about. The man was angry that Fen kept bringing out, "He has a girlfriend." FN looked at the guy with a grin, remembering what kind of underwear he was wearing. Fen decides to make a joke and clarify why the guy walks around in his underwear with Superman. Miss Mo also laughed slightly at the guy's joke. The man was furious at Feng's impudence. The blonde asked how his friend knew this guy. The man calls the guy a loser who is worthless. The blonde picks up the guy's words and approaches the poor guy, not understanding how the guy even got into the building. Fen adds that he would rather be poor than as brainless as the two guys in front of him. The blonde, unable to restrain herself, decides to take a swing at Feng. Fen easily catches the guy's hand. Feng looked him straight in the eye with an evil look. The guy asked him to let go of his hand. Fen agrees to his request. Fen takes him firmly by the hand and throws him over his shoulder. The guy falls towards the door with a huge crash. Fen watches the door open and decides to approach it. The man realized that he was lucky not to interfere and stay alive. Fen calmly walks towards the door where the man was lying unconscious. Coming closer, Fen sees a huge room with a casino. Miss Mo was amazed by the scale and beauty of the Xiao family casino. Feng thinks that this casino is acceptable even though he has been to much more luxurious places in Macau or Las Vegas. The man comes closer and asks Feng if he has been to similar establishments before. Fen, without revealing his personal identity, states that he wishes to test his luck today. The man explains to Feng that his establishment needs to have at least 2 million to start with, which he would be happy to lend him. Fen explains with a smile that he has prepared and has the required amount. Fen confidently asks the girl to cash out 2 million from his card and exchange it for chips. The man adds that since the man has prepared himself, he does not dare to bother him any further. Having recovered, the blonde approached the man and reminded him that this was the Zhao family's territory, and they had the right to easily kick the guy out. The man grinned and said that he didn't need all the rush. He was planning to take all the money from Feng and teach the guy a lesson that way. The man was looking forward to Feng's loss. Miss Mo asks Feng if they have the right to plan to play in the casino. Fen doesn't understand why they shouldn't play together, where it should be done. Fen reaches out and gives some of the chips to the girl. Fen asks the girl to relax and play whatever she wants. Miss Mo notices a strange machine and decides to play it. Miss Mo asks the boy to look at the cute box and try to play with it. Fen notes with a smile that it is a slot machine. The girl became angry at his wit and looked at him with an angry look. Miss Mo angrily approaches the machine. Fen assumes that she is angry because her father lost too much. Miss Mo looks at the slot machine and is stunned. The girl asks Feng how to play it. Fen calls over a worker and asks her to bring him some magnetic cards for the machine. Fen inserts the card into the machine and explains step by step what Mo needs to do. The guy presses the button with the orange and adds that the girl needs to line up the required fruits. After his words, Fen pulls the lever, waiting for the result. Fen wins a small victory and earns 1,000 points. On the next spin, they get a series of apples and earn another 5 points. Feng draws an analogy with chips on a table. They also need to place a bet and then wait for the result. The girl, having understood how the slot machine works, decides to try playing it herself. The girl pulls the lever and waits for the result. Miss Mo continued playing for 10 minutes. After some time had passed, Fen was perplexed as to how the girl had managed to lose everything and never win. Miss Mo was angry because she couldn't believe it herself. Miss Mo makes her final bet, wanting to win for once. Fen notes that the casino is a terrible place where an ordinary person can go crazy. At this moment, the more influential men were on the second floor of the casino. The blue-haired man from the Xiao family asked one of the workers how many chips Feng had left. The man throws his cards on the table. The worker quietly tells the man that Fen lost all his chips on the slots. The man began to laugh at such an absurd choice of game because it was an obvious loss. The man demands that his guards keep an eye on Feng, and when the couple loses everything, she will be half a step away from death. The blonde at this point throws down his cards and declares that he has won. The man also declares that he has won. The security guard was not thrilled with his crazy owners, who didn't know how to play at all. The girl was upset because the card account had zero balance. The girl asks to forgive her for losing, saying that it is her fault. Fen asks Miss Mo not to worry, explaining that he came to relax and just play. Miss Mo adds that she will return all the lost money if possible. Fen asks the girl not to worry, stating that he is a casino professional. Fen tops up the card account with another 2,000 chips. Fen was completely focused and determined to win, and a plan for victory had formed in his head. Fen knew that each slot machine worked according to a given program, and it would not be difficult for him to beat that one. Fen also notes that the slot machines in the Xiao family casino are not the most elite, and it will be easy for him to predict the line. Fen decides to choose the bells for further play. Fen easily presses the lever in anticipation of his victory. The girl wonders why Fen put absolutely all the points on the bells, because he could have lost everything at the moment. Feng explains with a smile that when they go to the casino, they have to keep their cool in order to play for high stakes. Fen was confident that they would definitely win at the slot machine this time. After scrolling for a long time, Feng Yu actually gets all the bells. Miss Mo was delighted with Feng's victory and his intuition. Fen asks the girl not to rejoice so soon because he has a big surprise for her. Miss Mo didn't understand what kind of surprise Fen was talking about. Fen asks the girl to look at the amount of winnings. The whole crowd also notices this and gradually begins to gather around Feng. One of the men understood that after the guy's victory, his points would increase exponentially. The crowd was puzzled as to where this simple guy got such incredible luck. The points were added to the overall balance of the card, which Miss Mo also noticed. The girl calls Feng her tiger with a smile because he made a fortune. Fen points out that it's only 2,000 points and they still have many games ahead of them. The guy presses the button and changes the item to an orange. Fen releases the lever and the machine starts to spin. Miss Mo was worried because Fen had once again put everything on the line. Fen watches the long scroll and wonders what will come next. Fenya has an epiphany and understands what will happen next. Fen asks Miss Mo to look more closely at the next bet. Fen presses the orange again in anticipation of her victory. Miss Mo reminds the boy that if they lose this time, they will have no more chips left. Fen asks Miss Mo to just believe in him. The music starts playing in the slot machine as Fen was able to increase his score another 5 times. The girl was delighted with Feng's performance and his luck. The crowd also noted that Feng had managed to raise 50,000 chips from 2,000. Every man passing by asked Feng to take him as a student and teach him this skill. Feng continued to stand near the machine and play. Miss Mo watched the events closely. Miss Mo got really carried away and asked the guy to continue so that they could take away a large sum of money. Fen agrees with the girl with a smile and continues playing. Fen pulls the lever once again in anticipation of victory. The amount of 2 million chips was transferred to Feng's card account. The whole crowd was shocked by such a big win. One of the men in the crowd could not understand who the young man was and how he knew all this. At this moment, the men were still playing in the hall on the second floor and did not suspect anything. The blue-haired man assumed that he had the winning cards in his hands, looking at his opponents with a smirk. The men continued to come up with names for their combinations and argue about who had won. The blue-haired man, having claimed victory, invites them to continue. At that moment, a security guard enters the room and asks his master to pay attention. The man thought that something was wrong with Feng. The blue-haired man became very angry because they were playing cards and were busy. The man bewilderedly asks him to forgive him, adding that Fen has already managed to win 50 million points on the slot machine in such a short time. The blue-haired man, gritting his teeth, also couldn't stand it. The guard asked what they should do about it. The blue-haired man slams his fist on the table, not believing that it is possible to win 50 million. The man orders the guard to stop the slot machine game and also send Gu Jin to meet Feng. The guard agrees with his master's words and immediately leaves the room. The man could not stand all this humiliation and was going to pay off all the money from his card to Feng. The crowd was still standing and watching the events. Feng's winnings had already exceeded 100 million yuan. The crowd continued to silently admire and not understand how some guy could do this. One of the guys in the crowd quietly added that this time he could boast that his visit to the casino was worth it. At this point, Feng hits the jackpot again and wins even more. Fen hugs Miss Mo and asks if they should continue. Miss Mo wanted Fen to continue and win all the Xiao family's money. Fen decides to change the item by pressing another button. At that moment, 2 unknown workers came from the end of the hall and asked to let them through. A man in a special uniform asks the entire crowd to disperse due to maintenance that is carried out every year. The man immediately covers the machines with yellow tape. A woman in the crowd noted that if the slot machine had not been covered, Fen could have won more than 1 billion. The slot machines were de-energized and completely sealed. Feng and Miss Mo step aside. Fen decides to light a cigarette because he was irritated by the sudden appearance of those workers. Feng looked at the stairs leading to the poker room, infuriated by this turn of events. Feng says with a smile that although they won't be able to completely take away all of the Xiao family's money, their goal of 100 million has been achieved. Fen moves closer to the girl, adding that the spring night is short and there is still something to do at night. The girl blushed deeply at Feng's words. Without any hesitation, Fen decides to kiss Miss Mo. The girl kisses Feng back without resistance. The couple plunges into a passionate kiss, which is what they both wanted. The crowd still nearby admired the couple's passionate love. Fen and Miss Mo seemed to shine among the gray mass. The men on the second floor also noticed the couple in the middle of the hall. The blue-haired man was irritated by Feng's presence in the casino. At this moment, a gray-haired old man approaches the man and asks if they called him. The blue-haired man asked Gujin to come closer. The man points at Feng and adds that he wants to hold the boy's head tonight. An old man looks at a loving couple in the center of the room. The old man declares that this is a trifling matter for him, and he will not keep the man waiting for him. Miss Mo noted in her mind that this was her first time in a casino, and her first time kissing a man in public. Miss Mo couldn't believe that her first kiss was with Feng. Fen asks the girl with a smile to get ready, because it is already late and they should go back. Fen suggests going to the exit and exchanging the chips for money and spending some of it on buying out the purchase and sale contract. The girl couldn't believe that Fen wanted to ask Xiao to return her purchase contract. Fen doesn't see anything wrong with this. He didn't want Mo Lan to become part of the Xiao family because of debts. The girl reminded that her contract was worth a lot of money, namely 5 million. Fen decides to remind him that he won 100 million today, and for him, it's nothing. Miss Mo felt a little awkward accepting such a large gift. Fen laughingly notes that their winnings are shared and they came to the casino to take revenge on the Xiao family. Miss Mo confirms that it is their winnings, adding that they should not waste the money on trifles. Fen holds out her card and asks to cash in all her points. The nice girl at the checkout asks Feng to wait. Fen says he wants to cash out all 123 million. The girl couldn't believe such a large sum and asked Feng to wait until she contacted the manager. The girl steps aside and begins to find out something from her boss. Fen, standing at the counter, slightly glances at the girl's figure. Fen couldn't help but continue to admire the girl's body. Miss Mo grabs the guy by the ear and reminds him that she is still with him. Fen immediately turns away, adding that he is no longer looking and is ashamed. An old man standing nearby noticed the guy's strange reaction to the 100 million. The old man also found it strange that with such luck, the guy decided to leave the casino. The old man slowly begins to approach the counter at the entrance. Fen notices an unknown man at that moment. Fen asks the old man if he plans to exchange the chips. The old man says he won't fall for the bluff because he noticed how experienced the guy was at the slot machines. Fen scratched the back of his head and added that he was just lucky. The old man states that he has seen what luck really looks like, implying that this was a deliberate plan on Feng's part. Fen doesn't quite understand why the old man is telling all this to him. The old man suggests that he wants to play a couple of games with him and see if he really gets lucky. Fen and the old man clashed in a battle of gazes, piercing each other. Fen calls the old man the Xiao family casino fighter. The old man believes that this is not important, but whether the guy is ready to accept his challenge, Fen adds with a grin that he will never refuse a challenge. The old man wondered if Fen had fallen for his provocation. Fen reminds the old man that he has 100 million in his pocket, and there is no need for him to accept his challenge. The old man did not quite understand the boy's words. Fen goes back to the counter and asks the woman to hurry up and give him his winnings. The old man realizes that everything is getting out of control. From the end of the hall, a naked voice came out, suggesting that Feng stay a little longer and play. The old man calls the blue-haired man sir and bows to him. The man waves his hand, sending the old man off to rest. Fen wonders why the man is so stern, assuming that they can't leave now without accepting the offer. The guard whispers to his master that the guy is trying to talk to them sarcastically, suggesting that they cannot afford to lose. The man pushes the guard away, saying that he understands everything himself. The man still insists that Fen join them and play another game. Fen, hugging Mo, notes that even if the guy has good intentions, he plans to refuse. The guard once again explains the hidden meaning in Feng's words, causing the man to flare up again. The man throws the guard aside, demanding that he shut up. Fen tells the girl to withdraw money at his request. Fen asks that his friend Mo Lan's debt be deducted from the amount of 5 million. The guard reminds his master that he should not let Mo Lan go, which will keep Feng. The man pushes his guard away again with even greater anger. The man comes up with a plan to lure Feng back to the casino. The man states that this debt of 5 million was given several months ago and is now several times larger. Fen understands that the man is trying to deceive him with such tricks. Miss Mo couldn't bear that the man had deceived her, because they had agreed on 5 million yuan without any interest. The man thought he was being lenient with her because he gave her a term of several months. Miss Mo couldn't believe that a man could do such a mean thing. Fen grins and asks the man to draw the line and indicate the required amount. The man offers Feng to play with his people, and if he wins, the contract will be cancelled. Fen immediately agrees to the man's terms. The man adds the other side that when he won, he wanted to take one of the guy's hands because he was not interested in money. Miss Mo immediately decides to refuse this offer because it was risky. Miss Mo suggests leaving and not putting yourself at such risk. Fen agrees to this condition without further questions and decides to play with them. Miss Mo still tried to dissuade the guy, but Fen was adamant. Fen asks the girl not to worry because he had everything under control. The guard tries to help the gentleman again and notes how cunning he is, that he was able to catch Feng himself. The man was glad that he was being praised because he really was smart. The guard adds with tears in his eyes that he is glad that the gentleman finally succeeded. The man again throws his guard to the other end of the room. The man was outraged by everything the guard said, not understanding what he meant by it. The man introduces the old man to Feng under the pseudonym Magic Hand and begins to praise him. Fen agrees to play their game on the condition that he chooses the next game himself. The man and the old man did not notice any trick in this. The man agrees with Feng and his proposal because there is nothing wrong with it. Feng decides to announce with a grin what game he will choose. Fen calls his game too easy, explaining that he is not invincible at it. The man didn't understand what Fen was trying to say. Feng also adds that this time they will not be placing points from a magnetic card. Fen states that if the magician can defeat him, but otherwise he will simply lose. The man was angry that the guy didn't take him seriously. The guard once again comes up and explains to the gentleman that Fen is just making fun of him. The man pushes the guard away again because he understood everything without him. The man angrily asks if he is worried that he will be laughed at when Fen starts to mock the old man. Fen adds that he will play with only one hand to keep things fair. The man couldn't help but be moved by Feng's carefree face. The guard reports to the gentleman that he will call the others and they will beat Feng on the way out. At this point, Fen just chuckles at what he heard. Fen pretends to be scared by what he heard because they wanted to beat him up outside the casino. Fen was still in the casino outside. It had already gotten dark due to the time that had passed. The crowd gradually gathered around the young gentleman and was perplexed as to what was happening. The crowd understood that the guy who won at the slot machines was now in trouble. The crowd asks the old man what is going on and why the guy is standing at the exit. With a grin, one of the men in the crowd asks if the problem is that the guy won 100 million and they don't want to let him out. The men said that if the blue-haired gentleman did not release the winner and pay everything, then no one would play in his casino. The men claimed that this was an illegal seizure of people because of their winnings. The crowd slowly revealed the old man and the gentleman with numerous claims. Fenania was happy with this kind of conflict because he himself wanted to take back his winnings. The man understood that the whole incident could end badly for him. The man states that the situation is not so obvious and they should sort it out first. The man adds that he is the sole heir of the Zhao family, swearing on his name that they are absolutely reliable and trustworthy. The man explains that he made a bet with Feng and now they want to make it come true. The man calls all the guards and demands that they seize Feng immediately. All the guards quickly surround the defenseless Miss Mo and Feng. The girl, hiding behind the guy's back, Miss Mo was slightly nervous. Fen puts her hand on the girl's shoulder and asks her not to worry. Fen assumed that he would have to bet his life to win. The man mockingly asks which particular Fen will choose to fight the guards. The crowd understood that the guy would do anything to win. People in the crowd begin to argue about who exactly will win this confrontation. The master was glad that he didn't even need a reason to beat Feng half to death. Fen explains that the only good quality he has is that he never resorts to his strength. Fen decides to choose one of the options offered. The crowd was in anticipation of what the guy would choose. Fen chooses to play casino roulette. All the men present were satisfied with this outcome. The old man offers Feng to choose absolutely any game and he doesn't even blink. Fen suggests that the old man play craps in this case and find out who of us won and who lost. The man demands that security immediately bring 2 cups with cubes. The man was also satisfied with this game. He was confident that the old man would win. 2 jars of dice stood on the pool table. The old man calls himself a good man and wants to play dice with Feng. Fen understands that this is a game of luck, and the one with the highest number wins. The old man collects all the cubes from the table into a jar. The old man begins to shake the jar vigorously. The old man looked straight into Feng's soul with a serious gaze. He was confident of his absolute victory. Fen stands waiting for the old man to throw. Some people in the crowd could not call, which the guy explained to such a desperate act. The man from the work group says that the guy doesn't understand at all who exactly is playing in front of him. At this moment, Fen continued to look at the old man with a grin, waiting for his move. Miss Mo wanted the old man to get only 6 ones in his mind. The old man begins to shake the jar vigorously. The old man decides to finish this by placing the jar on the table. All the spectators were in anticipation of what exactly befell the old man. Fen did not react in any way to what might happen to the old man. He silently waited. Fen abruptly puts his hand on the table, which the others completely ignore. A small electrical impulse begins to flow from the guy's hands, heading towards the can. Fen does something unusual that the rest of the crowd doesn't notice. Fen removes his hand. He was confident of his victory. At that moment, the old man noticed that the guy was trying to do something. The old man realizes that the guy is trying to pull off some early trick unknown to him. At this moment, the man shows his subordinate to bring a knife. Fen is laughing at this whole situation because they still haven't seen a single number, and the man is already calling his guards. The man believes that there is nothing wrong with this, and since his master is already in anticipation of victory, it will be better for the guy's suffering. The blonde man standing next to him also laughed at all this and was sure that the old man would win. Fen folded his hands and asked to stop talking and start doing. The guy wanted to see the dice that fell to the old man. The whole crowd was also in anticipation and still could not believe that the guy would sacrifice his hand. The man could not stand this old man who was so slow and wanted to see everything for himself. The old man asks not to do this. He was worried. The man does not listen to the old man and abruptly lifts the can. The man was shocked by what had happened to the old man. The man realizes that the old man only got 1 quality and one of the cubes was completely broken. The crowd couldn't understand how the man managed to break one of the cubes. The other man couldn't understand how the old man was able to shake out such a weak combination of ones. Fen decides to laugh at how bad the combination is against him at the moment. The man could not stand it and punched the wall. He had already decided to find a replacement for the old man after that. The old man himself could not think about what was happening when he first encountered such a face. The man thinks there is no point in continuing to watch and suggests chopping off the old man's hand. The frightened old man kneels down because he and his family have been serving for a long time. The old man points his finger at Feng and suggests that he used his internal energy to break one of the bones. Fen pretends not to understand what the master is talking about because he was standing a few meters away from him and could not do anything. The old man didn't know what else to add because he had no evidence. Fen assumes that this is where it all ends and that he won and was just lucky to score less than 5. The old man notices Fen starting to leave. The old man still asks his master to give him another chance because he planned to return the face of the casino. Fen agrees and returns back to the table. The old man was full of self-confidence. He was ready to fight back against some boy. The men agree to give the old man another chance and atone for his sins. The man sits down at the table again with Feng. The old man was the first guy to be a miserable peasant who dared to grieve his honor. Miss Mo reminds them that they are actually waiting and demanding that the old man lift his top hat. The old man mocks the impatient girl because Ta has already lost her head over Fen's victory. Miss Mo was a little offended by the old man's insolence. Fen with a grin, the old man was at a loss for age. I will leave my principles only with pathetic stubbornness. FN Bank starts shaking in his hands. Sterry was outraged by such impudence on the part of the guy. The men standing opposite were also surprised by this reaction. One of the men notices that the old man's hands were strange and his behavior too. Xiao notices that you are not a simple gesture and he is trying to do something. The man assumes that the old man is trying to do the same thing as Fen. Xiao adds that the old man told him that Fen also practiced martial arts and he recognized it immediately. The man wondered what happened after that. Xiao explains that Fen used a cross-shaking technique that caused the bones to break under the pressure. The man noticed that the way the old man behaved confirmed his words. Xiao adds that the probability of this trick happening is too low. Xiao calls several men to him to deliver a message. Xiao starts whispering something in the ear of one of the men. Fen notices this but doesn't show it. Fen grins at the old man, suspecting that they are hatching some kind of plan. The old man was irritated by the guy's self-confidence and the need for him to hurry. Fen states that he has a small superstition. If one of the beauties blows on him, it will bring him good luck. Fen calls Miss Mo over and asks her to blow on his top hat. Miss Mo agrees and blows lightly on the top hat. Xiao is angry at this whole circus happening around the guy. Fen suddenly lifts the cylinder and begins to shake it. Fen began to shake the upper cylinder vigorously, from which the bones still did not fall out. The crowd noticed the guy's skill in shaking the dice. Fen, with a serious expression on his face, declares that the time has come and he is ready. Fing cylinder on the table upside down. The old man understood that this was his only chance to use the technique. The old man took advantage of this opportunity and used the technique on the cylinder. Fen decides to open it and lifts it up. Fen looks at what he got. The crowd also looks at what he got. The crowd was perplexed as to how this could be. The man and the old man begin to laugh loudly at the fact that one can be such a loser. Miss Mo was no less shocked by such a poor result. On the table in front of Feng, there was only bone dust. The crowd didn't know how to react because it was absolute zero. The old man begins to laugh loudly in anticipation of his victory. The man notes that Feng has only 0 points. Fen folds her arms and continues to listen to the ridicule directed at her. Xiao understands that victory is his, and this is the best result for him. Xiao takes the knife from the guard's hands and heads towards Feng. The man asks to pick a guy by the hand and help him take the reward. Fen asks the man not to rejoice, because this is still not a victory. The man looked like the absolute zero guy, and he definitely lost. Xiao couldn't stand it any longer. He was ready to cut off not only the guy's hand, but also something else for his insolence. Fen explained that he was not trying to be cheeky and just wanted to finish the game he had started. Fen hugs Miss Mo. The girl was not at a loss as to why the guy was so calm. Fen asks the girl to blow on the dust on the table again. Miss Mo didn't understand what the guy wanted to show with this. Fen asked the girl not to worry and to trust him, because a miracle will happen next. Miss Mo agrees and comes closer to the table. Miss Mo begins to blow away the remaining dust from the bones, and a completely different picture emerges. The man didn't understand why this whole circus was happening. After all, they all understood that he had lost. The last cube in the center opens before Xiao and the old man's eyes. One of the guys in the crowd points at the cube. The crowd was perplexed. Somehow the guy only had 1 cube left, and it even had the number 6 on it. The girl continued to blow away all the dust on the body of only 1 cube. The crowd realized that the number 6 was Feng's winning number. The old man again lost his face and the power of speech. He did not understand how this was possible. The old man's legs begin to give way from fear and he falls to the ground. Thinking it is impossible, Miss Mo takes the guy's hand and declares him the winner. Miss Mo kisses the guy. Fen explains that he won the game. Xiao was at a loss in his expression, but still congratulated the guy on his victory. Fen wonders after his victory whether he has the right to cash out his account. Xiao asks to take the guy to cash out all the points and collect his winnings, as well as collect Miss Mo's documents. Xiao couldn't believe what was happening. Fen reminds that the guy promised something after defeating the old man. Xiao begins to speed up and walk away from his own casino. Miss Mo, standing at the aging place, laughs at what is happening. The man couldn't think that the old man had lost to some guy. Xiao, while in his office, declared that he would not let the guy leave so easily and would not let him live until tomorrow morning. The man was pleased with the uniqueness and noted all the genius of Mr. Xiao. Xiao took out a remote control with a timer and showed it to the man. Xiao explained that in 9 minutes the detonator would go off and wipe the couple off the face of the earth. The man admired Mr. Xiao's genius and composure. Yao stated that he would not allow anyone who harmed him in life to continue living in this world. Xiao continued to look at his reflection in the window with anger. Fen and Miss Mo walk under the night sky towards the car parked at the entrance. Fen gets behind the wheel and hands the girl a contract. Miss Mo decides to read what exactly was written in the contract for payment in kind. Fen asks the girls why she needs this paper if it's easier to throw it away. The girl silently folds the sheets of paper. Miss Mo puts the piece of paper into Feng's pocket. Fen wonders why the girl did this and what it means. Miss Mo explains that this contract is very important to her and she gives it to him importantly. The thought flashed through my head that this promise was a pledge in the form of a body. The girl opens the roof and leans out. Miss Mo screams under the night sky that she is finally free. Fen was amazed at how happy the girl was that she had finally decided to sign this contract. Miss Mo thinks they should celebrate and go out for drinks tonight. Fen agrees with the girl and cannot refuse him. Before that, he wanted to buy a car for the girl. Miss Mo didn't understand why the guy needed to buy a new car so urgently, even though he had so much money. Fen explains that the girl can't now ride on some scrap metal. In his mind, Fen recalled Xiao Yi, but he still wanted to return a certain gift to him. Fen turns into the alley with a grin. Fen makes a small detour around the city and returns back. Fen stops in front of the casino, which surprises the girl. The girl wonders why the guy came back to the same place. Fen asks the girl to just watch what is happening. Fen drives up to a high-rise building to turn into the parking lot. Feng parks his car next to another luxury sports car. The couple walked out into the parking lot, but Miss Mo still didn't understand what was going on. The girl looked around the parking lot and then looked questioningly at Feng. Miss Mo asks again what they are doing in the casino's underground parking lot. Fen asks to follow him and just watch. Fen takes the girl by the waist and leads her across the road. The couple climbs to the roof of a tall building and watches the show begin. Fen adds that he is not a god to forgive Xiao's shameless sins. The girl doesn't quite understand what the guy is saying. Fen, you doesn't care if Miss Mo has Xiao's phone number. The girl looked at her phone and confirmed that she had Xiao's phone. The girl immediately tries to explain that the guy himself called her for quite a long time and she had to add him to her contacts. Fen asks the girl not to worry and give him the number to call Xiao. The girl doesn't understand why the guy wants to call Xiao. At this moment, Xiao and several other friends were in his office. One of the men asks how his business at the construction site is going. Xiao asked his friend not to remind him because he was forbidden to build another casino in that area. The man says that this has unfortunately affected his family as well. Xiao called the girl from that area a real snake. A man places a glass of wine on the table. The man added that he had an idea on how to deal with the family of their opponents. Xiao asks the man to quickly post it and not remain silent any longer. The man adds that the woman has a daughter who studies at a local school. The man can get this person, and then the old man will have to reconsider his relationship with his family. Xiao confirms that this is a good idea and that he should not forget his close friends. Xiao hears someone calling his cell phone. Xiao was not in the mood to answer, but he still took out the phone. Xiao notices that he is receiving a call from Miss Mo, something that has never happened before. Xiao assumes that it was the guy who called, and he was amused by the fact that he hadn't died yet. Xiao doesn't want to answer the phone. On the other line, Fen decides to address a man. Xiao asks with a serious face why the guy called him. Fen jokingly adds that he doesn't understand why the guy looks so shocked. Xiao was furious that the guy was speaking in riddles. Fen adds with a grin, hinting that time is passing quite quickly. Fen adds that they ran out of gas and decided to leave the car in the casino parking lot and asks to take care of it. Xiao doesn't understand what this is about and why the guy is telling him this. Fen noted that if something happened to his car in the casino parking lot, Xiao would have to pay compensation for the damage. Xiao was completely angry, causing him to grip his phone tightly with his hands. Unwilling to continue listening to Feng, Xiao throws his phone to the ground. The man immediately decides to take the remote controls to activate the detonator attached to the car. Xiao's friend doesn't understand what's going on and what he's looking for. Xiao couldn't find the bomb remote control in his desk. At this moment, a strong flash appears behind the man. One of the men is thrown violently away from the window. Xiao also falls to the ground and shields himself from the intense flames. Xiao didn't understand what was happening and why his casino caught fire. The man wonders what is going on here and why they are engulfed in flames. Xiao understood that it was the guy who set him up and was able to outwit him. At that moment, the couple was on the roof, watching a strong explosion. Miss Mo didn't understand what was happening and why such a strong explosion occurred. Miss Mo continued to watch the strong flames outside Xiao's office. Fen noted in his thoughts that for him, art was a real explosion. Fen was amazed at how powerful the bomb was to eliminate them. Miss Mo didn't understand how the guy knew all this in advance. Fen comes closer and wipes away the girl's tears. FN asks the girl to calm down and asks Miss Mo to imagine that it is just fireworks. Miss Mo asks the guy not to evade the answer and tell the truth. Sighing, Fen agrees that he knew everything in advance. Miss Mo realizes that the guy saved her life and she will be able to see tomorrow's dawn. Miss Mo comes closer and hugs the guy, adding that he saved her life again. Miss Mo stands on her toes to reach the guy's face. The girl kisses Feng passionately again. Fen responds to the girl's kiss. I hug her in return. A couple kisses as the Xiao family building explodes in the background. At this moment, the guy receives a call on his phone. Fen was angry. What is this wonderful moment? Someone interrupted, but still answers the phone. The girl on the other line yelled at the guy for hanging around and left her alone at home. The girl stated that she would break the contract if he did not return within 10 minutes. Fen was angry at being treated this way. FNA decides not to show it and looks at Miss Mo with a smile. I mean, the girl understood that you are a guy with such a heart. There can't be only one girl in love with him. At this moment, the girl is still the source of the house. Young and Shin were sitting on the sofa watching TV. Shin wouldn't be in the mood because her chips were gone. Young asks the girl not to eat too much unhealthy food. Sin explains that she trains every day and it is not scary for her. Sin also notices that her sister is a little worried due to Feng's absence. Oh-young waves her hands. Let's add that she is not at all worried about the guy. Sin laughs in response because she understood everything. Oh-young didn't know what to answer to this. Sin assumes that the girl was actually hiding something from her. Sin receives a call on his mobile phone. The girl agrees with her boss and asks him to wait for her at the scene of the incident. Sin quickly goes upstairs to change into his work uniform. A few minutes later, Shin comes out in an officer's uniform. Bo asks where her friend is going. Sin explains that she needs to go to the scene where the bomb was detonated. Sin looks at the girl for the last time and says goodbye to her. Sin thought the incident was too strange because it happened in the city center. Sin comes back for a second and asks the girl to check all the locks when she leaves the house. Bo asks her friend not to worry because everything will be fine. Shin, leaving the door, cursed Feng. She believed that the guy had spent time with an unknown woman once again, and now she suspected him again. The girl calmly walks towards her car. Two unknown men sitting in the bushes notice the girl leaving the house. One of the unknown men dreamed that a policewoman came out of the house. The second unknown man believes that he should not worry and that the girl will be taken away painlessly. Approaching the entrance, the men burst into the house where Bo was. At that moment, under the night sky, Fen himself came up with an idea. He bought a small present for the girl so that she would stop being angry. Fen thought that he was lucky. The wine was not far away and he easily managed to get home. Fen was amazed at how much anger was in Bo because it constantly took it out on him. Approaching the door, the guy pulls the handle and sees the light on. Jokingly, Fen calls the girl over, adding that her old man has returned. Fen notices an empty room with the lights on. Fen began to assume that the girl was sleeping and did not want to meet him at all. Fen brings the bag and puts it on the nearest table and then looks around the room. Fen notices strange marks on the bed. Fen begins to suspect that the girl is actually in danger. Fen also realizes that these are not the girl's footprints. Fen watches as all the prints head towards the back door of the mansion. Fen suddenly runs out into the street and sees an unusual scene in front of her. Two unknown men try to take a girl hostage and put her in a car. Fen demands that two unknown kidnappers stop. One of the men notices Feng running out. At this moment, Bo bites the man's finger, causing him to be forced to let her go. The girl screams for Fen's help because she was currently in danger. Fen takes out his blade and moves towards the kidnapper. One of the unknown men decides to deal with the guy once and for all. Fen accepts his challenge and also prepares for battle. The man wanted to finish off the guy with just one shot and without making any unnecessary noise. The unknown kidnapper produces a gun and aims it towards Feng. Fen didn't expect that the kidnapper would have a gun on him. The man shoots the guy without further ado. Fen, unable to react, only sees the gun go off. The bullet quickly rushes towards Feng. The guy manages to take a slight step to the side. The field reaches the guy's shoulder, causing him severe injury. The bullet gets stuck in the guy's shoulder and for some reason, it starts bleeding heavily. Fen was furious after such a disrespectful gesture towards him. Fen suddenly rushes towards the attacker, wanting to kill him. Unknown decides to line up in the guy's direction once again and leave him no chance. Fen was one step ahead and was already next to the guy, which he did not expect at all. Feng, without any regret, cuts the guy's hand, causing the gun to fall to the ground. The man falls to his knees and begins to scream loudly in severe pain. The second kidnapper drags the girl into the car and demands that she not resist. The man closes the door for the girl and also gets into the driver's seat. The man calls his accomplice and demands that he return to him quickly. The attacker did not expect that he had lost his partner and that Fen was already running after his soul. The man panicked too much and, not wanting to die, decided to leave here as quickly as possible. The man takes a few last pictures and quickly gets into the car. Unknown was very frightened by Feng's confidence, easily turns away from all shots and continues to stay with his attacker. Eventually, the guy releases his blade, pointing it straight at the attacker. The man understands that he has not hit the target yet, and he should leave this place as quickly as possible. A man hears a strange sound approaching from the windshield. At that moment, Feng's blade breaks through the glass and quickly approaches the man's head. The blade easily plunges into the man's head, causing him to die instantly. Bo was very scared by what was happening. Fen opens the door and tries to free the girl. Fen asks the girl not to worry and to go back home with him. Fen takes the girl home and sits her down on the bed. Bo was still reeling from the recent incident. Sin also arrives at his friend's house to sort out the situation. The girl couldn't imagine that the guy was able to neutralize two armed robbers. At this moment, Bo's father arrives. The man was worried about his daughter and her condition. The man sighed and was glad that the girl was safe. The man thanks Feng for the work he did and for saving his daughter. Fen asks to forgive him and explain that he has other things to do today. Just as the guy started to leave, Bo grabbed him by the shirt. The girl asks the guy to leave because she still felt uneasy. Fen agrees and decides to stay with the girl. Fen explains with a smile that he will not go anywhere and will protect the girl. The guy remembers the cakes he bought before the incident. Fen takes the bag from the table and hands it to the girl because it was her favorite cake. The girl was glad for such care from the guy. Sin couldn't believe that such a guy could be gentle and care about anyone but himself. Sin stopped dreaming and still calls the guy a womanizer. The man, looking at Feng, understood that this was the ideal candidate for his daughter because he was ready to sacrifice his life for her. The man comes closer and asks the guy questions without disturbing his shoulder. Fen explains that he is fine and he will take care of it himself a little later. Sin adds mockingly that the guy won't live until the morning if he doesn't decide to remove the bullet and bandage the wound. Sin subconsciously could not believe that she began to care and worry about him. The man was also inclined to take the boy to a clinic to see a professional doctor. Fen does not want to go to any clinic because he can take out the bullet himself. Fen comes closer to Bo and asks her where their first aid kit is. The girl points to a nearby cabinet. Fen moves closer to the cabinet and takes out a small medical box from there. Sin couldn't believe that the guy was planning to remove the bullet with his own hands, calling him a real brave man. Fen, not embarrassed by any of the girls, takes off her shirt, which is bloody from a bullet wound, in front of them. There was an organized number of scars on the guy's body. Shin couldn't believe that the guy had so many scars. I guess he had a hard life before that. Fen was completely covered in a gigantic number of scars, both on his torso and on his back. The guy takes out a medical knife and holds it in his hand. Fen decides to set fire to the knife and heat it to the desired temperature. Feng uses a knife to pull out the bullet and throws it to the ground. Fen begins to cauterize the wound with a lighter, wincing slightly. After all the procedures, Fen simply pours all the alcohol onto her wound. In the end, he puts a bandage on himself and thinks that's enough. The guy blocks himself on the couch and sighs with relief. Sin couldn't believe that such a person could exist, because he didn't even cry out in such excruciating pain. The man also understood that this was not an ordinary person, but a real mercenary of the Dragon Soul. Because I couldn't contain my emotions, I started crying from what I saw, because the guy really suffered for me. Bo sincerely thanked the guy for the work he had done and for saving her. The man also approaches Feng Yi and asks him to come with him. Fen takes out his pack of cigarettes while sitting on the bed. Fen lights a cigarette in front of a man. The man asks the guy to smoke less because his early age has not yet healed. Fen asks his uncle who could have planned this whole kidnapping. The man didn't worry about where the guy got such guesses. Fen, continuing to smoke, notices the feigned emotions of his uncle. The man agrees with the guy and also includes two of his competitors, contributing to what is happening. Fen smirks at what he heard, finishing his cigarette. Fen puts out his cigarette on the ashtray standing next to the sofa. Feng believed that internal disagreements for the purpose of boosting business were normal, but he wondered if they did it because of genetic engineering research. The man was amazed that the boy even knew this. Fen adds with a grin that he knows absolutely everything, and it was not for nothing that his uncle hid it from him. The man didn't know that I could answer Feng to all this. The man falls onto the sofa and believes that all his research into genetic engineering will help change the future and humanity as a whole. The man also added that the rights to his research had been sold. The man explains that this is precisely why they experienced dissonance in the team. Feng found it strange that the patent for such a great study was sold, since it must have been a large sum. The man explains that he does not know the details about the sale of the patent. The man added that the previous incident was planned to deter him from traveling to the European continent. Fen does not understand why men needed to go to the European continent. The man explains that he needs to leave in 2 days for the European continent in order to negotiate about the gold armor. Fen thought for a moment, realizing that all this was not just like that. The man assumes that he will not be able to return after the trip, and therefore he transfers the company specifically to him. Fen was amazed that the man trusted him with an entire company. The man explains that he doesn't need to do anything complicated and just maintain the stability of the company. Fen wonders if his daughter knows about the man's imminent departure. Man-wife. What is trying to find the right moment to tell her, but he can't. Fen adds that she understands the man and does not blame him for this. At this moment, a call comes in on Feng's phone. Fen was amazed that someone was trying to call him in the middle of the night. The man on the other side responded by shouting at Feng. The man blamed Feng for blowing up the city center, because he understood that it was the guy who could teach such a thing. Uncle Feng stood silently to the side and watched what was happening. After all the recent events on the street, dawn has already come. Fen replied carelessly that he had heard about the explosion in the city center. The man continues to yell at the guy and explain that he knows everything, because only a guy could do something like this in front of everyone. Fen explains that he was trying to rest but discovered a bomb in his car and wonders what the man thinks he should have done. The man added that the boy could have acted much more carefully and quietly. Fen reminds that he was sent to the city without any special information and he knows absolutely nothing. Uncle Feng was amazed that the guy was talking to the head of an elite unit in such a tone. The man decides to end the dialogue by adding that the two unknown kidnappers were local mercenaries who were ordered for the Genuan Company. Fen wonders what the company has to do with it. The man added that one of the Ouyang family had to leave for Europe, and the guy had to keep the company afloat in his absence. Fen doesn't believe in such a coincidence. The man explains that those who attacked him were second-rate characters, and that there are much more powerful people behind them. Fen briefly replies that he understood everything the man said. Fen hangs up. The guy noticed that the whole situation was getting more and more heated. After finishing the dialogue with his uncle, the guy heads to her room until the next day. In the morning, Bo was already in the kitchen and trying to cook something. At this moment, Fen comes up from behind and tries to help the girl. Fen calls Bo his dear and asks to be allowed to help. Bo asks the guy to step away and get rid of the smell of smoke and then come to the kitchen for breakfast. Fen mentally noted that the girl had recovered and was fine. Fen declines and agrees with the girl's decision. Fen carefreely heads towards the shower. At that moment, Bo decides to stop the guy. Fen turns around and asks what the girl wanted from him. Bo asks the guy to smoke less because it had a very strong effect on his health. Fen nods approvingly and adds that he already knows this. Fen continues to walk towards the exit. The girl, lost in her dreams, calls the guy cute. The pot on the stove is already starting to boil vigorously. The girl stopped dreaming and noticed something burning on the stove. The girl lifts the lid and all her food begins. Bo notices that a strong fire is starting and begins to panic. Having sorted it out completely, she realized that everything had burned and was no longer edible. Bo still decides to put everything on plates and place them in front of Xin and Feng. The girl explained that she had cooked it for the first time and that she wanted her friends to try it. Xin decides to tease her friend, calling her a cold-blooded and unapproachable lady who decided to open up to her feelings. Bo, waving it off, tries to justify her actions by saying that she is worried about the guy's condition. Fen takes the chopsticks, adding that she really wants to try Bo's dish. The guy wishes everyone a bon appetit and comes to the meal. Fen takes a handful of noodles and begins to eat Bo's prepared food. Fen calls the girl's food delicious and begins to eat it with pleasure. Bo was embarrassed that the guy liked the food she cooked. Xin couldn't believe that what was in front of her could be delicious. Sign takes one noodle and decides to try what the guy calls delicious. At that moment, Snai turned very pale. The girl couldn't understand how the guy could eat inedible food so deliciously. Bo asks his friend why the girl started shaking. Xin can't think of anything to explain to her that she should hurry to the office. After all, she has unfinished business. Xin immediately leaves the kitchen and runs to the exit. Bo didn't understand why there was such a rush. Fen continued to eat the dish prepared by the girl without a care in the world. Bo also decides to try what she cooked this morning. Because of the strength to restrain himself, he instantly spits out all the pasta. The girl did not understand how it could be tasty, demanding that she be given water. The girl quickly pours herself a glass of water. Bo drinks a glass of water in one gulp and notes that she is not surprised that Xin left so quickly. At this point, Fen had already managed to finish absolutely all the pasta. Fen thanked for the dish prepared for him. The girl was touched that the guy didn't show it and continued to eat inedible food. Bo, when hugging the guy, was interested in why he decided to go so far. Having gathered, the couple went to school for classes. The girl, holding Feng's hand, headed to the classroom she needed. The crowd greeted the couple with a piercing gaze because the girl was accompanied by the not-so-little-known Fen. At this moment, Miss Mo also arrives in the classroom. She specially put on a new dress to surprise Feng. At this moment, Fen walks into the auditorium with Bo, arm in arm. Miss Mo was shocked that the guy had left and found himself a new girlfriend, since they had just kissed yesterday. Bo walks up to the table and asks Feng to sit next to her. Miss Mo couldn't bear such humiliation, gritting her teeth in anger. Miss Mo starts the park by asking everyone to open their textbooks, adding that Bo will tell them what they have to study today. Bo didn't quite understand why the teacher had paid attention to her. Fen realizes that Miss Mo is angry with him. Fen looks around in confusion, not knowing what to do. Bo asks Feng why everyone stares at them when a guy is next to her. Fen looks at the girl and notices Bo's insight. Fen, unable to think of anything better, jokes that he simply looks too irresistible next to her. Bo agrees with the guy's words, smiling in response. At this moment, the teacher called Feng and Bo, to which the couple immediately responded. Miss Mo demands silence during the lecture. The girl was still in a bad mood about Feng and Bo's relationship,